Chapter 322. Soon, the 400,000 soldiers started to collect the items dropped by the goblins and the golden scarf soldiers. After the battlefield was cleaned up, Yi Chun raised his eyebrows when he heard the report. King-level cultivation technique, 2 million. Emperor-level cultivation technique, 1 million. Emperor-level cultivation technique, 300,000. Saint-level cultivation technique, 10,000. Yellow-level equipment, 300,000. Black-level equipment, 150,000. Earth-level equipment, 60,000. Heaven-level equipment, 10,000. Not bad, not bad. After killing the goblins, they dropped a lot of good items at this thought. Yi Chun couldn't help but smirk. He then looked at the 400,000 soldiers and shouted, "You fought bravely and fearlessly against the goblins and the golden scarf soldiers. You will be rewarded for your contributions and punished for your mistakes. Now, those who have not received a king-level cultivation technique, please come forward to receive one." After Yi Chun finished speaking, he waved his hand, and 350,000 king-level cultivation technique manuals appeared on the ground. When the 350,000 soldiers of Samsara City heard this, their eyes widened and their breathing became heavier. In the next second, the 350,000 soldiers of Samsara City got down on one knee and bowed loudly. "Thank you, my lord, for your generosity. We pledge our lives to follow you, my lord." At this moment, they were excited and moved. After all, they were born poor. They didn't even have an advanced cultivation technique, let alone a king-level cultivation technique. Even if they wanted to learn, no one would teach them. And now, their master had directly bestowed a king-level cultivation technique to them. How could they not be excited? How could they not be excited? Yi Chun smiled and nodded. The soldiers then lined up to receive the king-level cultivation technique. The players who were watching from afar looked at each other. They were shocked and envious. They knew that the goblins had dropped good items, but they didn't expect them to drop so many good items. Most of them didn't have a king-level cultivation technique, but Yi Chun was giving it to the soldiers. To them, this was a big deal. Sigh, I finally know why Yi Chun is so strong. He's so generous. How can he not be strong? Damn, 350,000 king-level cultivation technique manuals. Damn, I don't even have a king-level cultivation technique. I got one, but I've already learned it. F***. Why don't I have such good luck? There are so many demons in the Great Han Empire. Yi Chun has probably killed all the demons in Yuzhou. Let's go somewhere else. If you want to go, you go. I'll just follow Boss Yi Chun. Wherever Boss Yi Chun goes, I'll go. It's safe, and I can even pick up some demons to kill. I think so too. While the players were discussing, the 350,000 soldiers quickly collected the Emperor tier martial arts. Yi Chun looked at the Samsara Legion and smiled. All of you have followed me through life and death, and your contributions cannot go unnoticed. Now, step forward and receive your Saint tier cultivation techniques and Heaven tier equipment. Thank you for your grace, my lord. We pledge our lives to follow the Lord. When the Samsara Legion heard this, they all knelt on one knee and saluted loudly. Their voices were filled with excitement and excitement. Very few people possessed Saint tier martial arts. Before they followed Yi Chun, they didn't even dare to think about obtaining a king-level martial arts, let alone a Saint tier martial arts. But now, Saint tier martial arts were no longer an unattainable dream. They were placed right in front of them. How could they not be excited? How could they not be moved? And all of this was bestowed upon them by Yi Chun. Without Yi Chun, they were nothing. They were clear and understood. That was why they were grateful to Yi Chun and pledged their lives to follow Yi Chun. Yi Chun chuckled and nodded. He waved his right hand, and 10,000 Saint tier martial arts manuals appeared in front of the Samsara Legion. The Samsara Legion soldiers immediately stepped forward, picked up the Saint tier martial arts manuals, and learned them. When the players in the distance saw this, their eyes turned red. Saint tier martial arts. F***. It's really Saint tier martial arts. F***. Why did Yi Chun give them to the NPCs so casually? And 10,000 Saint tier martial arts manuals at that? If he sells them, not only will Yi Chun earn a lot of money, but he will also increase the strength of the human race. Yeah, the human race is weak to begin with. Yichen would rather give them to the NPCs than sell them. He's too selfish. Don't talk nonsense. If it were you, would you sell them? Those are Yichen's soldiers, and they seem to be his personal guards. If Yichen doesn't give them to them, do you think he'll give them to you? Ignore these two fools. Yichen plundered a lot of money from the northern expedition to Wuhan. He doesn't lack money at all, so why would he sell them so casually? In this D*MN world, who doesn't want to become stronger? Yichen isn't stupid. He'll definitely do his best to increase his strength. Is he really going to sell the Saint-tier martial arts manuals? I think that Yichen should sell the Saint-tier martial arts manuals. In the game, the shifter invasion will happen in real life. It won't be long before the protective shields of the safe cities are useless. When that happens, the shifter will definitely attack the human race in real life. If the human race isn't strong enough, how can they resist the shifter? Are they just going to wait for the shifter to kill them? That's right. No matter how strong the soldiers in the game are, what's the use in real life? Even if they can enter the real world, that's because Yichen is strong. The human race will still be weak. If they're unlucky, won't they still be killed by the shifter? The players were far away, but the content of their discussion was still heard by Yichen. After all, Yichen's hearing and vision were far better than the average person's. It was difficult not to hear them. Glancing at the players in the distance, Yichen smiled coldly. The players wanted Yichen to sell the martial arts manuals to increase the strength of the human race. It was a good idea, but unfortunately, Yichen wouldn't do it. Yichen wasn't a saint. How could he help others improve their strength when his subordinates weren't strong enough? Moreover, these people were just saying that they wanted to buy the manuals. That was because they were here. Moreover, the people who said those words were all wearing good equipment and were quite wealthy without exception. If Yichen were to sell the martial arts manuals, they would definitely be the first to participate in the purchase. If they didn't want to be killed by the shifter, they should work hard to kill the shifter themselves. If that didn't work, they should join forces to kill the shifter. This way, they could drop a lot of good things, be it martial arts manuals or equipment. Unfortunately, there were too few people who could sincerely cooperate with him. Thinking of this, Yichen curled his lips in disdain and then shouted, "Let's go!" Yuyang. Yes, my lord. Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Zhao Meng, and Gao Shun heard this and bowed in unison. Then, they led the troops and followed Yichen to Yuyang. Rumble. Tens of thousands of horses galloped, and the earth shook. The murderous and iron-blooded aura surged as the Samsara City army advanced. At this moment, all the new recruits that Yichen had brought out of Samsara City had been reborn without exception. More than 80% of the soldiers had reached level 90 and could break through to the king level at any time. This was the main reason why Yichen gave the soldiers the king level martial arts manuals. Chapter 3:23. Yuyang. The Boundless Golden Scarf Army was currently attacking Yuyang County City. A large number of corpses were piled up at the foot of the city, including Golden Scarf soldiers and Great Han soldiers. Above the city walls, the two groups of people continuously clashed. Below the city, the Golden Scarf Yuzhou, Chu Commander Huang, and Verg smiled more and more as they looked at the city that was about to be breached. He had destroyed countless villages and towns, but he had never breached a city. Yuyang City would soon be the first city that he would take down. As long as he took down Yuyang, his position as the Yuzhou Chu commander would be as stable as Mount Tai, and the Golden Scarf Army's fame would spread throughout Yuzhou. When he attacked other cities, the officials, civilians, and soldiers in those cities would be afraid, and he would save a lot of effort. Cheng Yuanji, the general of the Golden Scarf Army, glanced at the city wall of Yuyang City, and then looked at Huang and Verg. Commander, Yuyang City will be breached soon. Should we attack Yubei Ping City, Yuyang City, or Zhuo Commandery next? Huang and Verg were taken aback by the general's question, and then answered without hesitation. Yuyang and Zhuo Commandery, of course. Yubei Ping City is a bit far. Huang and Verg's voice trailed off. Obviously, he had something to say. Cheng Yunji frowned slightly, and then said, "Commander, our Golden Scarf Army has over 1 million Golden Scarf Army." "Commander, Now that our Golden Scarf army exceeds 10 million, and we have 10,000 Golden Scarf strongmen, why don't we directly attack Ping City and then Liaoxi and take down the Champion Marquis? I heard that the Champion Marquis is a godlike strategist, and his soldiers are all elites. He has killed no less than 10 million Wuhuan soldiers. He is not easy to deal with. Wait until we flatten Yuyang and Zhuo Commandery, and our soldiers become veterans. Then we will deal with the Champion Marquis. Huang and Verg narrowed their eyes and said in a deep voice, "But General Heaven Duke said that we can't give the Champion Marquis time to develop, or he will become a great enemy of our Golden Scarf army. This is also the reason why General Heaven Duke assigned us Golden Scarf army." Cheng Yuanji said again, "Cheng Yuanji, how dare you? How dare you question me?" Huang Verg's eyes widened in anger, and then he roared, "I wouldn't dare, but does the Chu commander intend to go against General Heaven Duke's words?" Cheng Yuanji glanced at Huang Tsong, then cupped his fists and said, "You." Huang and Long were instantly enraged. At this moment, a golden turban spy ran over with a shocked expression. Once they got close, the scout shouted, "Commander, bad news. There are more than 400,000 cavalrymen in the east. They are rushing here and will be here soon." "What's there to be alarmed about 400,000? Huang and Verg were still in a fit of anger. When they heard this, they were instantly enraged and shouted, "No, Commander, those 400,000 cavalrymen are all wearing diamond-level equipment, and they are flying the banner of the General of Agile Cavalry." The scout was shocked and hurriedly explained. As soon as he finished speaking, Huang and Long were stunned and then hurriedly asked, "You're saying that those soldiers are all wearing diamond-grade equipment? And under the banner of the General of Agile Cavalry?" "Yes, Commander." The scout nodded his head heavily in response. "Damn it. Quick, order the army to stop attacking the city and turn around." Huang and Long were shocked when they heard this. They hurriedly looked at the messenger and shouted. Obviously, he was frightened by the uniform of diamond-grade equipment of the Samsara City Army. "No, Commander, the city of Yuyang County is about to be breached. If we turn around now, all our previous efforts will be in vain." Cheng Yuanji hurriedly cupped his fists and stopped them. "Nonsense. Don't we turn around and wait for the cavalry of the General of Agile Cavalry, Yi Chun, to charge? Those are cavalrymen wearing diamond-grade equipment. Do you think we can stop them?" Huang and Long roared furiously. "Commander, Yi Chun is only leading 400,000 soldiers, while our Golden Turban army is more than 10 million. What's there to be afraid of?" Cheng Yunji's eyes suddenly widened, and then he shouted loudly, "Yi Chun can kill more than 10 million people of Wuhuan. Do you think our soldiers are stronger than the Wuhuan people?" Huang Long frowned and then shouted in a deep voice. When Cheng Yuanji saw this, he cupped his fists and shouted, "Yi Chun defeated them one by one. Now our Golden Turban army is all here. I'm willing to lead my men to stop the General of Agile Cavalry Yi Chun. Commander, please continue to attack Yuyang County. As long as we take Yuyang County, we can retreat and attack. Yi Chun can't do anything to us. What's more, I'm confident that I can kill all of Yi Chun's 400,000 soldiers." When Huang Long heard this, his face turned green and red. He glared at Cheng Yuanji and then shouted, "Very well. Very well. I'll give you 3 million soldiers. Go and slaughter Yi Chun and his soldiers for me. As long as you succeed, I won't hold you accountable for your crimes. I'll even ask General Heavenly Duke to give you a reward. Otherwise, I'll chop off your head." "Yes, Commander." Cheng Yuanji cupped his fists without hesitation and then rode away. Soon, Cheng Yuanji led 3 million Golden Turban soldiers to the rear of the Golden Turban army and waited for the arrival of the Samsara City army. Rumble, rumble. Thousands of horses galloped and the earth trembled. A violent aura rushed toward the Golden Turbaned army, along with the sound of the horses galloping. When Cheng Yuanji felt the violent aura, his face changed and he became angry. They were just cavalrymen. Did they really think that they were invincible? Thinking of this, Cheng Yuanji looked at the army of Samsara City that soon appeared in his sight and shouted, "Draw your bows and prepare." Wait for my order. Swish, swish, swish. Millions of golden-turbaned soldiers took out their bows and arrows. Then, they knocked the arrows and aimed at the army of Samsara City. These bows and arrows were of different levels. However, the best one was only bronze. Most of them were of no grade. But in Chung Yuanji's opinion, these were enough. Quantity could make up for grade. Chung Yuanji knew that the soldiers of Samsara City were well-equipped and could not be killed easily. But he also knew that the horses had no defense. Even if they could not kill the soldiers, they could still kill the horses. If the horses were killed, the cavalrymen would be disabled. By then, the Golden Turban Army would be enough to kill the army of Samsara City. Chung Yuanji became excited at the thought of destroying the army of Samsara City and capturing Yi Chen alive. This was because Yi Chen, the general of agile cavalry of the Great Han Empire, was highly regarded by the leader of the Golden Turban Army, General Zhang Jiao. Moreover, Zhang Jiao was determined to get rid of him. Whether he killed Yi Chen or captured Yi Chen alive, Chung Yuanji would definitely be rewarded by Zhang Jiao. He would be able to rise above others and obtain fame and wealth. Rumble. A muffled rumble suddenly sounded from the ground. The army of Samsara City suddenly opened up a path in the middle, revealing a group of 10,000 heavily armored cavalrymen riding rhinoceroses. What is that? Chung Yuanji, who was excited, was stunned and then shouted in surprise. Chapter 3:24. Obviously, Chung Yuanji did not recognize the giant rhinoceroses, but this did not stop Chung Yuanji from being shocked. F***CK. Weren't they supposed to be war horses? Where did such a large group of rhinoceroses come from? Furthermore, they were all wearing armor and were wrapped up tightly. General, what the hell are these? They are not rhinoceroses. Vice General Deng Mao's eyes narrowed as he shouted in shock. I don't know, but we can't let these damn things get here, or else. Chung Yuanji tried to calm his rapidly beating heart and said in a low voice, they are all wearing armor and are of the diamond level. It's not easy to kill them. Deng Mao's face turned pale when he heard this, and then he said doubtfully. Chung Yuanji glared at Deng Mao and then shouted, we have to kill them even if we can't. Pass down my order. As long as they enter the shooting range, attack with all your might. We must kill this group of heavy cavalry. In addition, tell the sword shield soldiers to defend well. Yi Chen soldiers are all of the diamond level. They can attack from a long distance. No one is allowed to retreat. Yes, General. General. When Deng Mao heard this, he nodded heavily and turned around to pass down the order. Boom! The dull roar of the earth became louder and louder. Nay! Suddenly, a thunderous roar rang out. At this moment, a golden war horse suddenly jumped out from the side of the Samsara Legion and came to the front of the Samsara army. Looking at the Golden Turban Army in front of him, Yi Chen curled his lips in disdain and then shouted, change to bows and arrows. Swoosh! The 410,000 soldiers of Samsara City changed their weapons to bows and arrows in unison. Yi Chen glanced at the sword-shield soldiers in front of him and the archers in the back of the Golden Turban Army. He waved his right hand, and the Godslayer appeared. Then he pointed at the Golden Turban Army and shouted, 5 wheels of mounted archery. Whoosh! 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 410,000 arrows left the bowstrings in an instant, and then quickly shot toward the Golden Turban Army. At the Golden Turban Army, Chung Yuanji looked at the sky full of arrows and was stunned. He then said disdainfully, how rich! They are shooting from such a distance. Do they really think they can shoot from such a distance with their diamond equipment? As soon as Chung Yuanji said this, his expression changed. This was because he realized that the arrow that was shot from 2,000 meters away was already halfway through its journey, yet showed no signs of falling to the ground. General, the range of this diamond-ranked bow and arrow, the range is too far. Deng Mao's face suddenly turned deathly pale as he shouted in shock. Raise your shields. Raise your shield. Chung Yuanji didn't even need to think before he hurriedly shouted. However, he was too late. It was useless. Pooh, pooh, pooh. A series of sounds of arrows piercing into flesh rang out. In the area where the Golden Scarf Army's archers were located, more than 300,000 of them were killed in an instant. The rest were all injured. Mournful howls and terrified screams rang out one after another. The Golden Scarf soldiers had never thought that the Samsara City army would attack from so far away. Their arrows could only shoot a few hundred meters at most, but the Samsara City army was more than 2,000 meters away. How were they supposed to fight? However, this was not the end. Another wave of arrows flew from the sky, mercilessly shooting towards the Golden Scarf army. Pooh, pooh, pooh. The sound of arrows piercing into flesh could be heard again. Damn it, damn it. Sword Shield soldiers, fall back. Protect the archers. Chung Yuanji shouted angrily as he waved his weapon and swatted away the arrows that were shot at him. He had planned everything and wanted to catch Yi-chun. He had also considered the defense of diamond-level equipment and the attack power of diamond-level weapons. However, he had underestimated the power of diamond-level weapons. Unfortunately, it was too late for regrets. Whoosh, whoosh. Arrows pierced through the sky and shot towards the Golden Scarf army. Groups of Golden Scarf soldiers were shot to death on the spot. After 4 rounds of arrows, the Sword Shield soldiers of the Golden Scarf army finally came to the side of the archers and raised their shields to protect them. At this moment, the 5th round of arrows had arrived. Puff, 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 puff. The arrows pierced through the shields without any hindrance and killed the Sword Shield soldiers and the archers on the spot. Chung Yuanji's face paled when he saw that 99% of his archers had died. He did not expect that the last archers would be shot to death. The surviving archers could not even draw their bows and shoot. This was seriously beyond his estimation. Without the archers, there was no way to kill the war horses of Samsara City and the terrifying rhinoceroses. There was only one result. The infantrymen were valiant and the cavalry charged. Thinking of this, Chung Yuanji shuddered all of a sudden. Deng Mao looked at the army of Samsara City that was hundreds of meters away and shuddered. He hurriedly looked at Chung Yuanji and shouted, "General, let's retreat. General, let's retreat. We can't fight anymore. More than 1 million of our men have died before the great general of the Imperial Hussars arrived." Chung Yuanji tried to calm his heart that was beating violently because of rage and panic. He then shouted, "Retreat? What retreat? Charge! The one in the front must be General of Light Cavalry Yi-chun. Kill him, and these bastards of Samsara City will be nothing to be afraid of." But General Deng Mao was interrupted by Chung Yuanji as soon as he opened his mouth. "Shut up. Pass the order. Drink the talisman water. Go." Deng Mao's face suddenly changed when he heard this. Obviously, he knew the side effects of Zhang Jiao's talisman water. Otherwise, he would not have acted like this. Seeing the army of Samsara City approaching, Deng Mao's heart suddenly trembled. He then nodded heavily and replied, "Yes, General." Deng Mao ran to pass the order after he finished speaking. Soon, orders came from all over the army of Golden Turban. General's order: drink the talisman water. Hearing this, the soldiers of Golden Turban were no longer afraid. They excitedly took out bamboo tubes from their arms, pulled out the corks, and drank the talisman water without hesitation. In the next second, the soldiers of Golden Turban army all emitted red light. Seeing this, Chung Yuanji raised his weapon without hesitation and shouted, "Heaven is dead. Yellow sky will rise. In the 60-year cycle, the world will be blessed." As soon as Chung Yuanji finished speaking, the slogans shook the sky. "Heaven is dead. Yellow sky will rise. In the 60-year cycle, the world will be blessed. For the virtuous master, kill General of Light Cavalry Yi-chun. Kill." Chung Yuanji glanced at Yi-chun, who was charging at the front. He pointed his weapon at Yi-chun and shouted, "Kill! Kill! Kill!" The soldiers of Golden Turban army roared like crazy and then rushed to Yi-chun with Chung Yuanji. Yi-chun looked at Chung Yuanji and the army of Golden Turban army and curled his lips disdainfully. He waved the Godslayer in his right hand and shouted, "Kill them all!" Chapter 325. Kill, kill, kill. Deafening shouts rang out instantly. The army of Samsara City raised their spears and followed the Samsara Legion to charge at the Golden Turban Army. Yichen took the lead and soon met Cheng Yuanzi face to face. Go to hell. Cheng Yuanzi didn't notice until now that Yichen wasn't wearing armor. His eyes lit up and he shouted. The moment Cheng Yuanzi shouted, he stabbed at Yichen with his spear. Yichen looked at the long spear, smiled coldly, and grabbed it with his left hand. A dang sound was heard. Yichen's left hand caught the spearhead of Cheng Yuanzi's spear. Cheng Yuanzi was stunned. He didn't expect that Yichen dared to grab the spearhead with his hand. Of course, this wasn't important. What was important was that Yichen's hand was completely fine. There wasn't a single drop of blood. While Cheng Yuanzi was still in shock, Yichen's left hand suddenly exerted force and pushed the long spear back. Puchi! A sound was heard. Cheng Yuanzi's long spear was pulled back in an instant. The spear shaft pierced through his armor and then his body. Cheng Yuanzi opened his mouth wide and then shouted in horror. How is this possible? Woo! A sound was heard. Yichen casually flung the terrified Cheng Yuanzi into the air. Ding! Congratulations to player Yichen for killing the third-rate historical general, Cheng Yuanzi. Hearing the system's prompt, Yichen raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect it to be Cheng Yuanzi, a historical figure. Unfortunately, he was just a piece of trash thinking of this. Yichen curled his lips disdainfully and waved the Godslayer at the Golden Turban Army in front of him. Puff, puff, puff. With several sounds, 5 heads flew up in an instant. Just as the 5 Golden Turban Army soldiers were about to spurt out blood, the Pegasus Zyajin knocked them away. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of 5 bodies exploding was heard. Without exception, the 5 Golden Scarf soldiers exploded into pieces in midair. However, Yichen didn't stop at all. He rode Little Gold and charged forward again. The Godslayer in his hand reaped the lives of the Golden Scarf soldiers. Wherever Yichen went, heads would roll, bodies would explode, and limbs would fly everywhere. As for the Golden Scarf soldiers who were hit by the Pegasus Little Gold, they were all forcefully sent flying backwards before spitting out blood and dying in midair. 1 man and 1 horse. Yichen was tyrannical, domineering, and invincible. At this moment, the Samsara Legion charged forward. The ferocious wild rhinoceroses immediately began to ram into the Gold Scarf army. Swaths of Gold Scarf soldiers were sent flying, and they died in midair. At the same time, the Samsara Legion's 100 refined steel spears stabbed out again and again. The Golden Scarf soldiers were constantly stabbed to death and sent flying towards the other Golden Scarf soldiers in the distance. Rumble! Tens of thousands of rhinoceroses galloped, and the earth rumbled. The tyrannical Samsara Legion followed Yichen and cut a hole in the Golden Scarf army. Then they continued to move forward. No one could stop them. Rumble! Rumble! Tens of thousands of rhinoceroses galloped, and the earth trembled. Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, and Zhao Meng led the 400,000 soldiers of Samsara City. They quickly rushed over and began to kill mercilessly. The Golden Scarf soldiers had drunk the talisman water and lost their minds. What else could they do? They could only kill. For all the soldiers of Samsara City, they wouldn't show mercy to anyone Yichen wanted to kill. They would do their best to kill them. This was because their lord, Yichen, had given them everything. He had given them a beautiful future. They were grateful and believed in Yichen. For Yichen and Samsara City, they were willing to give up everything, not to mention following Yichen to kill enemies on the battlefield. Rumble! Rumble! Under the leadership of Yichen, the army of Samsara City cut into the Golden Turban Army like an awl. They charged again and again. They kept accelerating and accelerating. There was no sign of them stopping. Puff! 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 The long spears stabbed and then left. They were cold and merciless. Bang! 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 The mounts charged forward without dodging. They were ferocious and brutal. The golden scarf soldiers were stabbed to death, sent flying, and knocked away. Wherever the army of Samsara City passed, corpses were everywhere. Blood flowed like a river. At the commander's flag of the Golden Scarf Army, Huang Cho looked to the east in horror. Their soldiers, the Golden Scarf soldiers, were there as far as the eye could see. However, at this moment, his soldiers were like toys. They kept being knocked away and sent flying into the sky. Moreover, soldiers kept exploding in the air. They died without a complete corpse. He knew who had attacked his subordinates, and he also knew whose army it was. It was because of this that he was terrified, because he was afraid of Yi Chun, the legendary general of agile cavalry of the great Han Empire, from the very beginning. He broke through Ping City in Yubei in 2 hours and wiped out the Wuhuan tribe in 1 day. He killed so many Wuhuan tribes that their blood flowed like a river. In his mind, Yi Chun was an extremely brutal and ruthless overlord. Yi Chun would kill all his enemies without mercy. He would not show any mercy. Otherwise, why would the Wuhuan tribe be wiped out without leaving a single one alive? At this moment, Yi Chun, the general of agile cavalry of the great Han Empire, was attacking his soldiers with his fierce army. They were so fast that no one could stop them. Thinking of this, Huang Cho shuddered. Vice General Deng Mao, who took the opportunity to deliver the order, glanced at the ferocious Samsara City army that was charging toward them. His pupils constricted and he stammered. "What are you doing?" He stammered. "Commander, let's run." He was frightened by the brutality of Yi Chun and the army of Samsara City. In his opinion, invincible talisman water and tens of thousands of soldiers were nothing in front of Yi Chun, the general of agile cavalry. He didn't want to die. He wanted to escape from Yuzhou, far away from Yuzhou, and never come back. Huang Cho glanced at Deng Mao and tried to calm his heart, which was beating violently because of fear. Then he shouted, "How dare you run away when the army of Golden Turban Tribe is still here? Go, take your soldiers and kill Yi Chun, the general of agile cavalry. Otherwise, you will be killed without mercy." Hearing this, Deng Mao was stunned, and then his face changed. He didn't expect that Huang Cho, who had shown his fear, would say so. The next second, Deng Mao realized why Huang Cho said so. This was basically asking him to die so that Huang Tsong could have more time to escape. Thinking of this, Deng Mao was furious. However, when he saw the 10,000 expressionless and strong soldiers in Golden Turban Tribe, he instantly quieted down. After a moment of silence, Deng Mao bowed and said, "Commander, if we want to kill Yi Chun, the general of agile cavalry, we can only use the soldiers in Golden Turban Tribe that General Heaven Duke assigned to you. Please understand." Chapter 3:26. Huang Long's face darkened when he heard this. The Golden Turban strongmen were the personal guards of the virtuous paragon, Zhang Jiao. They were the trump card of the Golden Turban soldiers and were even stronger than the elite soldiers of the Han Dynasty. Huang Long had planned to take the Golden Turban strongmen away and develop them elsewhere. Soon, he would be able to raise an army of tens of millions of Golden Turban soldiers. In this way, he was worried that Zhang Jiao would blame him too much. However, Deng Mao was telling the truth. Without the Golden Turban strongmen blocking Yi Chen's army, he could not escape. Thinking of this, Huang Long glanced at Deng Mao and said in a low voice, "Good. I'll give you 5,000 Golden Turban strongmen. Remember, no matter what, you must bring back Yi Chen's head." "Don't worry, Commander. I'm willing to guarantee with my head that I'll bring back Yi Chen's head." Deng Mao bowed and said without hesitation, "Good." Huang Long glanced at Deng Mao and shouted. Then he took out half of a jade talisman and handed it to Deng Mao. Deng Mao's eyes lit up when he saw the jade talisman. He hurriedly took the jade talisman and bowed. "I'm going to kill Yi Chun now." Deng Mao took the jade talisman to the side of the Golden Turban soldiers. He raised his right hand, and the jade talisman lit up instantly. The 5,000 expressionless Golden Turban strongmen were shocked and looked at Deng Mao. Deng Mao raised his eyebrows and shouted, "Follow me." "Yes." 5,000 bare-chested golden turban strongmen bowed and answered. Then they followed Deng Mao and rushed toward the army of Samsara city. Huang Long glanced at Deng Mao and snorted coldly. Then he led the 5,000 golden turban strongmen and his personal guards and ran away without hesitation. Just as Huang Cho ran away, Deng Mao also changed directions and ran into the distance. Boom! Thousands of horses galloped and the earth trembled. Yi Chun led the army of Samsara city and kept charging, wantonly reaping the lives of the golden turban soldiers. When Yi Chun killed 6 golden turban soldiers with one spear strike, he suddenly froze and looked to the left. Over there was a group of bare-chested men with golden headbands on their heads. They were running wildly. However, they were running away from the battlefield. When Yi Chun saw the naked golden turban soldiers, his eyes lit up. Damn it! Golden turban strongmen, that dropped good stuff. In his previous life, golden turban strongmen had no golden turban soldiers had appeared. Zhang Jiao was really willing to give up, thinking Yun, Yun, and Yun Yun Yun. And Yun, and Yun 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 Yun. Yun Zheng Dian Xiong, Zhao Meng, Gao Shun, kill all the golden scarf soldiers. Lord! My lord! Zhao Yun Zheng Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, and Zhao Meng were all stunned when they heard this, then responded loudly. Although they didn't understand why Yi Chun suddenly issued such an order, they didn't question Yi Chun's order. Yes, Lord! The Samsara Legion shouted in unison. Then they followed Yi Chun and charged at the golden turban strongmen. Abruptly changing directions in the middle of a charge was a major taboo for ordinary cavalry. However, it was not a problem for the Samsara Legion. Rumble. Tens of thousands of oxen galloped and the earth rumbled. Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion to cut a hole in the golden turban army and chased after the golden turban strongmen. Others might not know the benefits of the golden turban strongmen, but Yi Chun did. Every golden turban strongman was a super experienced baby. Killing them would give a lot of experience. Moreover, they would drop all sorts of high-quality items. Now that Yi Chun had seen the golden turban strongmen, how could he let them go? After all, Yi Chun had a strong luck attribute. Once he killed the golden scarf warrior, the items that would drop would definitely be of a higher grade than the original items. It was precisely because of this that Yi Chun would not let the golden turban strongmen leave. More importantly, there were only 1,000,000 golden turban strongmen. If he missed this opportunity, who knew where these golden turban strongmen would run to and who would kill them? Of course, it was true that the golden turban strongmen dropped good items, but they were also very strong. Ordinary generals would not be able to deal with the golden turban strongmen, especially after Zhang Jiao added all sorts of bug-like support attributes to them. At that time, anyone the golden scarf strongmen would be able to fight 100 rounds with a historical general. Although they would still be killed in the end, it was enough to show how overpowered these golden turban strongmen were. Deng Mao, who was running away, was fantasizing about the future excitedly. This was because he controlled 5,000 golden turban strongmen. With these 5,000 golden turban strongmen, he could constantly develop his subordinates. Millions, tens of millions, or even tens of millions would not be a problem because he had the foundation. As long as he had enough subordinates, he would be able to conquer cities. When the time came, Zhang Jiao would naturally not blame him for running away. When he thought about how he would soon become a commander, Deng Mao was suddenly very excited. At this moment, the dull rumbling of the earth was getting closer and louder, instantly waking Deng Mao up from his fantasy. They're chasing after me? No way. Deng Mao turned his head to look at the source of the sound. In the next second, Deng Mao could not help but shiver. F***CK. They're really chasing after me. Why are they chasing after me when there are so many of them? Damn it! Damn it! Deng Mao angrily thought about it and then shouted, 1,000 people go over. Kill that general of agile cavalry riding the golden Pegasus for me. Without thinking, the 1,000 golden turban strongmen stopped in their tracks, turned around, and rushed toward Yi Chun. Deng Mao knew that the golden turban strongmen were very powerful, but he was not confident. This was because the Samsara Legion's savage rhinoceroses were too ferocious. They were not something that could be defeated by human strength. Although he had pretended to pass down the order to run away, he still saw the savage rhinoceroses charging. Moreover, he also learned the origin of the savage rhinoceroses from Huangmang. It was because he knew the horror of the savage rhinoceroses that he completely gave up the idea of using the Golden Turban strongmen to fight Yi Chun. The Golden Turban strongmen were not afraid of death, but it was useless. In front of the savage rhinoceroses, the Golden Turban strongmen were like a piece of cake. How could they kill the Samsara Legion? After 10 minutes, Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion and collided head-on with the Golden Turban strongmen. Looking at the Golden Turban strongmen who did not dodge, Yi Chun curled his lips in disdain. These people had been taught silly by Zhang Jiao. Loyalty was loyalty, bravery was bravery, but unfortunately, no brains. Thinking of this, Yi Chun waved the Godslayer in his right hand and shouted, "Kill! Kill! Kill! Kill!" Deafening battle cries rang out instantly. The Samsara Legion raised their well-tempered steel and spears and aimed them at the Golden Turban strongmen. Chapter 3:27. The heavens are dead, and the yellow heavens shall rise. In 60 years, the world shall prosper. When the 1,000 Goldscar strongmen saw Yi Chun and the Samsara Legion charging toward them, they stopped in their tracks, pulled out 3 talismans from their waists, and pasted them on their bodies. A yellow light instantly lit up, and the 1,000 Goldscar strongmen who were originally shirtless instantly turned golden. Strength talisman, thick earth talisman, Vajra talisman. Yi Chun recognized the talisman the moment the Goldscar strongmen took out the talisman. These talismans would greatly increase the strength and defense of the Goldscar strongmen, and would create a protective shield on the surface of their bodies, which was known as invulnerable. Looking at the shiny gold scarf strongmen, Yi Chun couldn't help but smirk. Not bad, not bad, it's best to use it. This way, the quality of the items dropped will be higher. As soon as Yi Chun finished thinking, he came in front of the gold scarf strongmen and waved the Godslayer in his right hand without hesitation. BZZT, BZZT, BZT, several sounds were heard. The heads of the 5 gold scarf strongmen flew up in an instant. The golden protective light they were so proud of, as well as their incomparably strong defense, didn't buy them even a second. Bam, bam, bam. The sound of 5 bodies exploding was heard instantly. The Samsara Legion charged forward, and the well-tempered steel and spears in their hands vibrated at the same time. Buzz, buzz, an earth-shaking buzzing sound was heard instantly. The steel and spears in the hands of the Samsara Legion instantly lit up with balls of white light, and then they stabbed at the gold scarf strongmen. Poochie, 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 countless sounds were heard. The Goldscar strongmen were instantly pierced by the Samsara Legion soldiers, and then lifted up and sent flying. Boom! The Samsara Legion charged straight through, and the 1,000 Goldscar strongmen were all killed on the spot without exception. In the distance, Deng Mao ran wildly with the 4,000 Goldscar strongmen while observing the outcome behind him. In his opinion, although the 1,000 Golden Scar strongmen could not kill Yi Chun or cause much damage to the Samsara Legion, they could at least hold on for a while. He had seen the power of the 3 talismans with his own eyes. Although they weren't as powerful as Zhang Jiao's, they were still invincible. As long as he used those 3 talismans, unless it was a king-level general, no one would be able to break through the defense of the Golden Scarf Warrior. Therefore, it would not be easy for the Samsara Legion to kill the Golden Scar strongman. This way, he would have enough time to escape. However, in the next second, Deng Mao's jaw dropped. In his eyes, the incomparably tyrannical Golden Scarf Warrior was like a piece of paper, easily killed on the spot. How strong is this agile cavalry, great General Yi Chun? Is he an emperor-level military general or a saint-level military general? Deng Mao shouted in horror. In the next second, Deng Mao's eyes instantly widened, and then he shouted in horror, King-level general. How the F*** is this possible? Why are all Yi Chen's soldiers king-level military generals? It was one thing for Yi Chen to be strong, but this had already scared Deng Mao. But what Deng Mao didn't expect was that not only were the Samsara Legion's mounts abnormal, but even their own soldiers were abnormal. All of them were king-level military generals. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to kill the Golden Scarf warrior so easily. Damn it! Deng Mao roared in horror. Without thinking, he urged his warhorse to gallop away frantically. He wanted to escape immediately, as far away as possible. He was only an emperor-level general. He had no chance of winning against the Samsara Legion's king-level military generals. Not to mention, there was also Yi Chen, who was so powerful that it made him despair. Yi Chen was not only powerful, but also extremely cruel and domineering. Even if the person killed by Yi Chen was pierced through, his body would explode into pieces and die without a complete corpse. Just thinking about it made Deng Mao shudder. Rumble. Thousands of bulls galloped, and the earth trembled. Yi Chen led the Samsara Legion in pursuit of Deng Mao. Whether it was the Pegasus, Little Gold, or the wild rhinoceros, they were unusually fast. Deng Mao's warhorse was only a premium warhorse, not a famous horse. How could it outrun Yi Chen and the Samsara Legion? Deng Mao couldn't outrun them, let alone the Golden Scarf warriors behind him. After a few breaths, Yi Chen led the Samsara Legion to catch up to the Golden Scarf warriors. Then, he mercilessly killed the 4,000 Golden Scarf warriors on the spot. Deng Mao was scared out of his wits when he saw the Golden Scarf warriors killed in a few breaths of time. He desperately urged his warhorse to gallop, but it was useless. Not long after he started running, a golden light flashed past him. Yi Chen, I surrender. When Deng Mao saw Yi Chen, who had arrived beside him, his pupils constricted and he screamed. However, before he could finish his sentence, Yi Chen's spear had already cut off his neck. His round head instantly flew into the air. Bzz. Blood began to spurt out, splashing onto the ground as the warhorse continued to gallop. After a few breaths of time, a bang was heard. Deng Mao's body exploded into pieces. Blood and organs splattered everywhere. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for killing the third-rate historical general, Deng Mao. Yi Chen was slightly taken aback when he heard the system notification. Then he smiled. He didn't expect it to be Deng Mao. Although he was also trash, he should have a lot of battle achievements. Just as Yi Chen finished thinking, the world announcement sounded because Yi Chen had stopped attacking. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for being the first to kill the third-rate historical general, Cheng Yuanji. Player Yi Chen is specially rewarded with 1 million battle achievements. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chen for being the second to kill the third-rate historical general, Deng Mao. Player Yi Chen is specially rewarded with 1 million battle achievements. The world announcement was repeated 3 times, instantly causing the world channel to explode. F*CK. F*CK. It's Yi Chen again. F*CK. Is there no end to it? He just took in Cheng Pu and Tian Chou. How long has it been since he killed Cheng Yuanji and Deng Mao? It doesn't matter who he killed, but why did he get so many battle achievements? F*CK. Yi Chen's battle achievements are skyrocketing. It's already at an astronomical number. It's another 2 million battle achievements. I only have a little over 1,000 battle achievements. Ha ha ha. Boss Yi Chen is awesome. You have to admit it, even if you don't like it. Boss Yi Chen, I'm willing to go to Yuzhou to follow Boss Yi Chen. Boss Yi Chen, please don't reject me. It's too difficult for me to fight the golden turbans and demons by myself. It's safer for me to follow Boss Yi Chen. However, I swear that I won't steal anything from Boss Yi Chen, and I won't disturb Boss Yi Chen from earning battle achievements and battle achievements. I just want to farm monsters in peace. Boss Yi Chen, me too. I beg for Boss Yi Chen's permission. Me too. The world channel was very lively. Yi Chen glanced at it and chose to ignore it. Then he looked into the distance. There was also a group of bare-chested golden scarf strawmen. Chapter 328. Yi Chen could not help but raise his eyebrows as he watched the golden scarf warrior running wildly in the distance. Cheng Yinji and Deng Mao had appeared and fled with the gold scarf warriors. It should be Huang Tsong, the commander of Yozhou's army. At the thought of this, Yi Chen's lips curled. He pointed the Godslayer into the distance and shouted, "Charge!" Nay, the Pegasus, Goldie, let out a thunderous neigh, then moved its hooves and chased after Huang Mang. Kill! 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 Deafening battle cries followed. The Samsara Legion immediately activated their charging mode and followed behind Yi Chen, charging a Huang Tsong and his men who were running for their lives. Rumble! Tens of thousands of bulls galloped and the earth trembled. The Gold Scarf army stretched as far as the eye could see. However, no matter how many Gold Scarf warriors there were, they could not stop Yi Chen for even a second. The Samsara Legion behind Yi Chen was equally domineering. All the Gold Scarf warriors who stood in the way of the Samsara Legion's charge were either killed or sent flying by the rhinoceroses. Swathes of Gold Scarf warriors were killed and trampled on. Huang Tsong, who was running for his life, saw the whole process when Cheng Yuanji and his men were killed. Huang Tsong was originally angry because Cheng Yuanji did not stop Yi Chen and instead ran away. However, his anger was immediately replaced by fear. Yi Chen and the Samsara Legion were too ferocious. They killed 1,000 Gold Scarf warriors in an instant. After catching up, the 4,000 Gold Scarf warriors did not have the slightest chance to resist and were all killed on the spot. Huang Tsong was the commander of Yozhou's Gold Scarf army. How could he not know what Gold Scarf warriors were like? Even if he fought alone, he could at most deal with 5 Gold Scarf warriors who used talismans. Any more and his life would be in danger. However, the Gold Scarf warriors who were so powerful in his eyes were like ants to Yi Chen and the Samsara Legion. They were easily crushed. How could he not be afraid? How could he not be terrified? He had never imagined that not only would Yi Chen be powerful, but the Samsara Legion would also be so freakish. Every one of them was a king-level general. Therefore, he was afraid. He was terrified. He started to run for his life. He didn't care about anything else. Unfortunately, what he didn't know was that the entire Samsara Legion had already advanced to Emperor-level generals. Any soldier of the Samsara Legion had the ability to kill him. If Huang Zhong knew about this, he would probably faint from fright. At this moment, Huang Xiyuan only had one thought in his mind. Escape. Hurry up. Escape out of Yuzhou province. Only by escaping out of Yuzhou province could he survive himself. Rumble. The dull rumbling of the earth was getting closer and closer, but Huang Long's face was getting paler and paler. He didn't even need to look back to know that the Samsara Legion had caught up to him and would catch up to him soon. Thinking of this, Huang Zhong's forehead instantly broke out in a layer of cold sweat. He didn't want to die. He wanted to live. He was the commander of Yozhou's Golden Scarf army. He still had a lot of life to enjoy. Thinking of this, Huang Long unhesitatingly took out the sword at his waist and stabbed at the butt of the warhorse. Nay, the warhorse instantly let out a pained neigh from the stabbing pain. Then it ran for its life, increasing its speed once more. I must escape. I must escape. Huang Long thought in horror. Then he reached into his bosom and took out half a jade talisman. Glancing at the jade talisman, Huang Long clenched his teeth and squeezed it. Bang! The jade talisman turned into powder. A red light instantly shot out and enveloped the 5,000 Golden Scarf warriors who were running after him. At this moment, the 5,000 Golden Scarf warriors' bodies all glowed red. The 3 talismans at their waists also lit up at the same time. Huang Long glanced at the 5,000 Golden Scarf warriors who had completely changed their appearance. Then, he looked at the approaching Yi Chen and roared, "Go! Kill cavalry great General Yi Chen. He is the greatest enemy of the virtuous Paragon. Kill! Kill! Kill!" The 5,000 Golden Scarf warriors let out earth-shattering and tyrannical roars. In the next second, the 5,000 Golden Scarf warriors turned around and looked at Yi Chen. Then, they charged at Yi Chen. Yi Chen looked at the 5,000 Golden Scarf warriors shrouded in red light and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Zhang Jiao's blessing. Not bad, not bad. This time, the drops will be even better. Thinking of this, Yi Chen squeezed the horse's belly. Pegasus Xiao Jin instantly jumped up and landed in the middle of the 5,000 golden scarf warriors. At this moment, Yi Chen waved the Godslayer in his right hand. Poochie, poochie, poochie. A dozen sounds were heard. 12 round heads of the golden scarf warriors flew up in an instant. Boom! Pegasus Xiao Jin landed heavily on the ground. Its forehooves stomped 4 headless golden scarf warriors to the ground. Then, it continued to move forward. At this moment, Yi Chen activated his merciless harvesting mode. The Godslayer in his right hand flew up and down, one shot after another. It was simple and crude, without any fanciful moves. Poochie, poochie, poochie. Wherever the God-slaying spear passed, severed limbs flew and heads danced wildly. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of bodies exploding was followed by waves of sounds. Huang Chou, who was running wildly, saw this, and his face immediately turned pale. Then, his face was filled with extreme fear. He didn't expect that he still couldn't stop Yi Chen after using the Jade Talisman given by Zhang Jiao to forcibly raise the Golden Scarf Warriors' realm. He was the commander of the Golden Scarf Army. Only he knew the specific usage of the Jade Talisman given by Zhang Jiao. In addition to controlling the Golden Scarf Warriors, crushing the Jade Talisman was equivalent to Zhang Jiao personally blessing the Golden Scarf Warriors. However, this way, the Golden Scarf Warriors would become Death Warriors. They wouldn't stop fighting until the end unless Zhang Jiao was there. This was also the fundamental reason why Huang Chou hesitated at first. Because if he crushed the Jade Talisman, Zhang Jiao would sense it. At that time, Zhang Jiao would definitely suspect that Huang Chou used the Golden Scarf Warriors to escape. Once Zhang Jiao confirmed it, Huang Chou would undoubtedly die. However, Huang Chou had no choice. He had to use it. If he didn't, he wouldn't be able to escape. As long as he escaped, he would find a way to raise a Golden Scarf army. Then, even if Zhang Jiao knew the truth, he wouldn't be too severely punished. His idea was very good, but he didn't expect that the Golden Scarf Warriors, which had been enhanced by Zhang Jiao, still couldn't stop Yi Chen. Yi Chen's speed didn't change at all. Not only did it not change, but he also continued to kill the Golden Scarf Warriors. On the other hand, without exception, all the Gold Scarf Warriors that were killed by Yi Chen had died in an extremely miserable state. At this moment, the Samsara Legion charged forward. The refined steel and spears in their hands trembled as they poured their true chi into them. Then, they charged at the remaining Golden Scarf Warriors. Poochie, poochie, poochie. The sound of spears piercing through bodies rang out. Then, the corpses of the Golden Scarf Warriors were sent flying into the air. Emperor-level generals. When Huang Chou saw this, he immediately felt his soul leave his body and a chill run down his spine. Chapter 329. Huang Chou was already frightened by Yi Chen's terrifying strength. Now, the Samsara Legion that caught up to him was also a group of freaks. None of them were weaker than him. How could Huang Chou not be afraid? How could he not be terrified? He had thought it through before. He would use the Golden Scarf Warriors to delay Yi Chen so that he would have enough time to rush to the grove ahead. As long as he entered the grove, his warhorse would not be able to run freely. He would have to dismount. And this was exactly what he wanted to see, because his warhorse was only a premium warhorse. How could it outrun Yi Chen's Pegasus or the Samsara Legion's wild rhinoceroses? Of course, he knew that his speed could not compare to Yi Chen's, but he was not afraid. Because he had strong concealment skills, he was confident that he could avoid Yi Chen or the Samsara Legion's search in the grove. He could even play Yi Chen or the Samsara Legion in circles. However, he did not expect that the Samsara Legion's soldiers were all Emperor-level generals, and he was only an Emperor-level general. There was only one outcome. Yi Chen was not the only one who could catch up to him. Any soldier of the Samsara Legion was not slower than him. Huang Chou felt uneasy at the thought of not being able to shake off Yi Chen or the Samsara Legion. Damn it! How did Yi Chen train his soldiers? They are all Emperor-level generals. Damn it! Damn it! Thinking of this, Huang Long's originally pale, face suddenly became incomparably twisted. He was afraid. He was afraid of being caught and killed. I can escape. I definitely can. Just as Huang Cho thought of this, a golden light suddenly appeared beside him. Huang Cho realized that something was wrong from the corner of his eye and subconsciously looked to the left. In the next second, all the hairs on Huang Zhong's body stood on end, and then he screamed, Yi Chun, die! Yi Chun sneered and shouted. With that, he waved the Godslayer in his right hand. Woo! The Godslayer streaked across the air, instantly creating a series of air-piercing sounds. When Huang Zhong saw this, he hurriedly brandished his weapon to parry Yi Chun's Godslayer. However, just as he raised the long spear in his hand, his movements came to an abrupt halt. Chi-la sound was heard. Huang Long's head instantly flew away from his body and floated into the air. Zizi, the column of blood immediately began to spurt out wantonly. In an instant, it died. The warhorse Huang Xiong was sitting on red, and the ground gradually turned red. Bang! A loud sound was heard. Huang Long's body immediately exploded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for killing the second-rate historical general, Huang Kong. After hearing the system notification, Yi Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. It was indeed Huang Tsong, the commander of the Golden Scarf Army in Yuzhou. Thinking up to this point, Yi Chun could not help but smile. He then bent down and picked up the 3 items Huang Long had dropped. At this moment, a world announcement suddenly sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for being the first to kill the Golden Turban Commander. Special reward. Innate attribute points x10, battle achievement x5, 000,000. The world announcement was repeated 3 times in a row, instantly causing an uproar in the world channel. Damn! How long has it been? Yi Chun just killed 2 Golden Turban generals, and now he has already killed the commander of the Golden Turban Yuzhou? Damn, I realize that Yi Chun is already invincible. No one can stop him. I really admire him. He has been cheating since the beginning of the game, and he has been cheating until now. No one King cares. Cheating? Do you want to make me laugh to death so that you can inherit my wealth? You can cheat in this game for me to see. In short, you have to admire him even if you don't want to. Also, Boss Yi Chun, I will be arriving at Yuzhou soon. Please protect me. Idiot! Yuzhou Commander Huang Long has already been killed by Yi Chun. The goblin race has also been wiped out by Yi Chun. What else is there to kill? Are you going to follow behind Yi Chun and smell his stench? CKU. Do you think Boss Yi Chun will stay in Yuzhou? Won't he go somewhere else after killing everyone in Yuzhou? Don't forget, Boss Yi Chun is the governor of Yuzhou in the Great Han Empire and the general of Agile Cavalry. He can go wherever he wants without any restrictions. Damn, why do you care about this idiot? Boss Yi Chun, I sincerely want to follow Boss Yi Chun. I don't want equipment or skills. I just want a position where I can kill monsters. I swear that I will never steal the monsters that Boss Yi Chun wants to kill, nor will I steal the items that Boss Yi Chun drops. Also, I am 100% willing to listen to Boss Yi Chun's orders. The World Channel was very lively. The content of the players' discussions was constantly flooding the screen. Yi Chun glanced at it and couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The players were now divided into 2 factions. One faction was envious, jealous, and hateful, as usual. The other faction chose to stand on Yi Chun's side. Or rather, they wanted to follow Yi Chun. Unlike before, there were clearly many more players on Yi Chun's side. Yi Chun disdained those who were envious, jealous, and hateful. He couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. As for those who chose to stand on Yi Chun's side, Yi Chun knew their motives. They just wanted to reap some benefits. Of course, because Yi Chun didn't accept any underlings previously, these people's opinions had changed a lot. However, their basic motive hadn't changed. They still wanted to reap benefits. Yi Chun's attitude towards this remained unchanged. He still didn't accept any underlings. Yi Chun didn't mind them following behind Yi Chun. Yi Chun didn't have the time to go out of his way to kill the golden scarves and goblins at the corners. Otherwise, Yi Chun wouldn't have allowed the players to follow behind him. It was good to enjoy the shade under a big tree. However, people's hearts were unpredictable. Thinking of this, Yi Chun sighed. At this moment, the Samsara Legion arrived and stopped in unison. Yi Chun glanced at the Samsara Legion, who were filled with a murderous aura, and smiled. He said, "The golden scars are no longer of much help to increase your strength. Go clean up the battlefield and collect all the items that the golden scars dropped. If anyone dares to snatch them, kill them." "Yes, my lord." When the soldiers of the Samsara Legion heard this, they all bowed and charged toward the battlefield on their rhinoceroses. At this moment, the Yuyang battlefield was the performance stage of the Samsara City Army. The 400,000 Samsara City Army charged back and forth, killing the Golden Scar's soldiers in a frenzy. Soon, half of the Golden Scar's army was killed. At this moment, the 400,000 Samsara City soldiers were constantly shining with the light of leveling up. Seeing this, Yi Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Not bad, not bad. They had broken through to the innate stage and become king-level generals. After killing all the Golden Scar soldiers, at least 80% of them would become king-level generals. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but smirk. Just at this moment, an extremely well-built man suddenly appeared in the corner of Yi Chun's eyes. He wore a long green robe and had a long black beard on his chin. His face, however, was so red that it could be called unusual. Chapter 330. Yi Chun, who noticed the abnormality, opened his eyes wide and turned his head to look. Yi Chun recognized the red-faced man the moment he saw him. Guan Er. Guan Er was a super-class historical general. He was remembered by the world because of his bravery, loyalty, heroism, and unyielding character. Yi Chun certainly knew this, and Yi Chun also wanted to subdue Guan Er. However, the small plot of the Oath of the Three in the Peach Garden was about to start, so the possibility of Yi Chun subduing Guan Er was greatly reduced. But the current situation was that Guan Er had actually appeared here. How could Yi Chun not be surprised? Of course, he was more surprised. Damn it, I'm going to stop him. Even if Guan Er doesn't want to follow me, I can't let him be fooled by the big-eared thief. As soon as Yi Chun finished thinking, Guan Er stepped forward and bowed. Hudong, Guan Er, Guan Yinchang. Greetings, General of Agile Cavalry. Hearing this, Yi Chun looked Guan Er up and down, then nodded and asked, "Yinchang, why are you here?" "General of Agile Cavalry, I was passing by and heard the deafening battle cries, so I came to check it out. I didn't expect General of Agile Cavalry to be suppressing a rebellion." Guan Er hurriedly bowed and said when he heard Yi Chun's question. Yi Chun's eyes lit up when he heard this. "So that's what happened. I was wondering why Guan Er suddenly came here." Thinking of this, Yi Chun laughed and then said, "So that's why?" "Yinchang, I see that you're strong and powerful. You must be very powerful. I wonder if you'd like to follow me?" Hearing this, Guan Er was stunned, and then his face was filled with ecstasy. He could have left because there was nothing he could do on the battlefield. The army of Samsara City was unstoppable. However, when he found that the leader of the army was Yi Chun, the famous general of Agile Cavalry of the Great Han Empire, he immediately gave up the idea of leaving. It must be known that Yi Chun's fame had already spread throughout the Great Han Empire. There was no one who did not know of him. How could Guan Er be an exception? It was precisely because he knew that Guan Er admired Yi Chun. That was because Yi Chun was the strongest existence in the history of the Great Han Empire. For so many years, no one had been able to destroy Wu Huan. However, Yi Chun had done it with a single move, and in a single day, no less. Guan Er was very arrogant, but after hearing about Yi Chun's deeds, he couldn't help but be impressed. It was also at that time that Guan Er had the idea of following him. And now, Guan Er had run into Yi Chun. It was inevitable that he would have the same thoughts as before. Thus, he decided to meet Yi Chun. Firstly, he really wanted to follow Yi Chun. Secondly, he also wanted to see if Yi Chun was worth following and if he was as good as the rumors said. The result was unexpectedly good. Not only did Yi Chun not look down on him because of his identity as a commoner, but he also thought highly of him and even wanted to recruit him. How could Guan Er, who wanted to follow him, not be happy? How could he not be excited? Thinking of this, Guan Er took a deep breath. After exhaling a long breath, he knelt down on one knee and said loudly, Guan Er, Guan Yinchang, pays my respects to my lord. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining the loyalty of the superclass historical general, Guan Er. Hearing the system's prompt, Yi Chen's eyes lit up. He dismounted from the horse and hurriedly helped Guan Er up. Patting Guan Er's shoulder, Yi Chen looked up and laughed wildly. Good. With Yun Chang's help, I have no worries about my great cause. From now on, Yin Chang will be the 5th general of Samsara City. Guan Er was stunned when he heard this. He had never expected that Yi Chan would think so highly of him that he would give him the right to be a general. Originally, he thought that he would start from being a lieutenant or a deputy general. Who would have thought that he would be a general right away? On the battlefield, Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, Zhao Ming, and Guan Er had seen it with their own eyes. Each of them commanded an army of 100,000. But now, he was given this right as soon as he followed Yi Chun. If Yi Chun did not think highly of him and did not trust him, this would not have happened. Thinking of this, Guan Er could not help but tremble, because of excitement and gratitude. In the next second, Guan Er knelt down on one knee with a bang and bowed loudly. I swear to follow my lord until death. If I break this oath, I will be destroyed by the heavens and the earth. Ding! Guan Er's loyalty plus 10. He is loyal to you. Hearing the system's prompt, Yi Chan could not help but smile. Another loyal subordinate. Good. Now that Guan Er is my subordinate, I would like to see how this big-eared thief, Royal Uncle Liu, can jump around. Just as Yi Chan finished thinking, the world announcements rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for becoming the 3rd person to obtain the loyalty of a superclass historical general, Guan Er. Special reward to player Yi Chun, 10 million gold taels. The world announcements rang out 3 times in a row. It was as if a bomb had been thrown into a pot of boiling oil. Holy shit, there's no justice in this. Do you have to play like this? Goddamn, Yi Chen already has 2 superclass historical generals, Dian Xiong and Zhao Yun. They're all awesome. Now he has Guan Er as his subordinate. Does he still want people to live? Fuck. Yi Chen, that crazy bastard. Does no one care about him anymore? God damn it, I can't accept this. Why did he even take Guan Er as his subordinate? What happened to the Oath of the Peach Garden? That's right. Now that Yi Chun has Guan Er as his subordinate, doesn't that mean the Oath of the Peach Garden is no more? This is 2F asterisk king trash. No way. I have to report Yi Chun. He cheated. Hee hee. I'll ask you if you're convinced. Boss Yi Chun is the most awesome. What Oath of the Peach Garden? That's all fake. As long as you meet Boss Yi Chun, all the awesome people have to kneel down. Boss Yi Chun is invincible. He took Dian Xiong, Zhao Yun, and Guan Er. He took all the superclass historical generals away. Don't leave them for those bastard lords. Let them be envious and jealous. I just want to say that Boss Yi Chun is the most awesome. You trash. There's no point in being envious. There's no point in being jealous. There's no point in hating. Just submit to him as soon as possible. Who cares about them? Those who are envious and jealous are all lords. What does it have to do with us players? That's right. I'm about to reach Yuzhou. Just thinking about being able to mingle with Boss Yi Chun makes me feel great. Where's that idiot Erhei? Why hasn't he spoken for so long? What do the superclass historical generals do? Are they very powerful? Who the hell knows? Do they get slaughtered? Who cares? I remember that idiot Erhei said that the historical generals recruited by the human race were all at the Xiantian realm. What's there to worry about? What Dian Xiong? What Zhao Yun? What Guan Er? Just wait for me to find some time, and I'll eat them all. Chapter 331. Humans taste really good, especially those strong ones. This Guan Er is mine. Don't fight with me. Roar, roar, roar. Roar, roar, roar. Demon scum, You still want to eat Guan Air? Aren't you afraid that your teeth will break? Tell them to eat it. Anyway, Guan Air is with Yichun. Eating Guan Air is the same as finding trouble with Yichun. When that happens, Yichun will definitely cry. You idiot, whose side are you on? You're a traitor. Damn it, I just can't stand Yichun. He can snatch all the good stuff. What's the matter? Are you going to bite me? Idiot. If you have the ability, go and take him. If you have the guts, don't show off on the World Channel. The World Channel was a buzz. Yichun glanced at it and then curled his lips in disdain. The demons were arrogant, and the humans were envious and jealous. They couldn't stand Yichun doing well. Yichun knew all this from the start. Now that Yichun had taken Guan Air, the World Channel was bustling again. Yichun had already guessed it. However, Yichun didn't care about this at all. It didn't matter if others were envious or jealous. Even if they hated Yichun, Yichun didn't care. To Yichun, no matter what others said or expressed, as long as they didn't provoke Yichun, anything was fine. Once they provoked Yichun, they were enemies. If they were enemies, there was only one word to describe it: kill. As for the demons, Yichun would only choose one way to deal with them: kill without mercy. If they didn't speak on the World Channel, Yichun would also kill the demons mercilessly when he encountered them. Not to mention posting those arrogant words on the World Channel. They were just a bunch of ants. Did they really think that no one in this world could control them? At this thought, Yichun sneered and looked at Guan Air's attribute panel. Guan Air, Super Historical General, Saint-Level General Grade, SSS Level Sealed, Loyalty, Die Loyal Martial Strength, 99, Connate Full Circle, Bone Frame, 98 Spirit, 96 Luck, Hidden Cultivation Method, Martial Saint Technique, Incomplete, Saint Level Skills, Green Melon Blade Technique, Incomplete, Sacred Level Equipment, none. Not bad, not bad. A superclass historical general is indeed different. His aptitude is excellent, and his martial prowess is also very impressive. With this thought in mind, Yichun raised an eyebrow. He looked at Guan Air and pointed at the warhorse in the distance. Yinchang, that's Huang Xiong's warhorse. Although it's not a famous horse, it's still a fine one. You can ride it first. When the golden turban of Yuzhou is settled, you can go to Samsara City to change your warhorse or wild rhinoceros. When Guan Air heard this, he was immediately delighted and hurriedly bowed and said, "Yes, my lord." Then, he excitedly led Huang Zhong's warhorse over. Guan Air was a military general and naturally loved famous horses. And Yichun allowed him to go back to Samsara City to choose a better warhorse. Of course, it would be a famous warhorse. Of course, the savage rhinoceros was also not bad. It was an existence comparable to famous horses. In fact, it was even more ferocious than many famous horses. No matter which type it was, Guan Air loved it. How could he not be excited? Yichun looked at the excited Guan Air, smiled, and said, "That's right. Yinchang, come with me to the battlefield. When the war is over, we'll go to Zhua County to get your weapon." Guan Air was stunned when he heard this. He couldn't understand why he was going to Zhua County to get his weapon. Yichun couldn't help but smile when he saw Guan Air's confused face. Then he said, "It's said that Zhua County has Zhua County's iron Oregon. Rumor has it that there is someone in Zhua County who has heavenly black iron. When the time comes, I will buy it at high price and forge a weapon for you." Guan Air was stunned when he heard this. How could Guan Air not know what Zhua County's iron ore was? It was the best material for making weapons. It was extremely rare in the world. If he used it to make a weapon, it would definitely be a divine weapon. Once he had such a weapon, Guan Air would be able to use all his skills to his heart's content, and his power would increase exponentially. If he wanted to kill a general on the battlefield, even if he had to take the general's head in the midst of thousands of soldiers and horses, it would be a piece of cake for Guan Air. Therefore, Guan Air longed for such a weapon. Now, Yichun was going to make a weapon for him with Zhua County's iron Oregon. How could Guan Air not be excited? With great effort, Guan Air calmed his ecstatic mood and bowed deeply. "I'm your humble servant. Thank you for your gift, your majesty. I swear that I'll follow you till death. If I break this oath, may the heavens and earth destroy me." Looking at the excited Guan Air, Yi Chun nodded with a smile and said, "Come with me to Zhua County. When the war is over, we'll go to Zhua County." "Yes, your majesty." "My lord." When Guanair heard this, he bowed again and followed Yi Chun to the battlefield. At this moment, most of the Golden Scarf army had been killed. But the army of Samsara City was still charging forward with an indomitable momentum and killing everything in their way. Looking at the army of Samsara City killing the Golden Scarf army, Yi Chun could not help but smile. At this moment, the Samsara Legion, who were cleaning up the battlefield, came to Yi Chun's side and handed over the items dropped by the Golden Scarf soldiers to Yi Chun. After checking them one by one, Yi Chun's eyes lit up. What the F***CK? There were even 300 enlightenment stones. The Tao Comprehension Stone was very useful to Yi Chun. Be it now or after he ascended to the Great Desolate Aeon, it would be very important. For example, Yi Chun was going to use the enlightenment stones to refine the 5 elements spiritual pearl and advance to the 5 elements divine body. Once he succeeded, Yi Chun would be able to rise rapidly after he ascended to the untainted land. And this process required a large number of enlightenment stones. After he ascended to the untainted land, the enlightenment stones were also very important. With the enlightenment stones, Yi Chun could easily master all kinds of magic arts and even Dharma laws. In this way, Yi Chun's strength would increase rapidly. Therefore, Yi Chun was determined to get the enlightenment stones. This was also the most fundamental reason why Yi Chun had killed so many people in the plot of the Golden Scarf Rebellion. Yi Chun wanted to use his battle achievements and merits to exchange for enlightenment stones on the 2 lists. He wanted to exchange as many as he could, the more the better. Of course, Yi Chun did not only obtain the enlightenment stones, but also many cultivation techniques. The worst one was an emperor-level cultivation technique. There are also extremely precious blueprints. Among them, Yi Chun obtained 5 types of equipment blueprints. Thunder Spear, Profound Level, Blueprint X1, Thunderbow, Profound Level, Blueprint X1, Machete, Profound Level, Blueprint X1, King Kong Shield, Profound Level, Blueprint X1, King Kong Armor, Profound Level, Blueprint X1. In addition to these 5 types of equipment blueprints, Yi Chun also obtained a type of warship blueprint, Sea Protector Warship, Earth Level, Blueprint X1. In addition, there were also a large number of pieces of equipment, 3,218 Earth-level pieces and 821 Heaven-level pieces. Looking at the large number of spoils of war, Yi Chun was in a good mood. The Golden Scarf Strongman had indeed dropped good things. It felt good to have such a great fortune. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to obtain something like the Enlightenment Stone, nor would he have been able to obtain so many high-level blueprints. The Golden Scarf Strongman would be his in the future. Chapter 332. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but smile. Then, he looked at the battlefield. Rumble! Thousands of horses galloped, and the earth trembled. The army of Samsara City was still charging and mercilessly harvesting the lives of the Golden Turban soldiers. Time ticked by. After half an hour, the battle was coming to an end. Looking around, there were corpses everywhere. Some of them were incomplete, some had their bellies cut open, and some were smashed into meat paste. Because of the cavalry's charge and the war horses trampling, blood dyed the earth red. The smell of death mixed with the strong smell of blood kept drifting in the air. When the battle was over, the battlefield quieted down. At this moment, the smell of blood reached its peak. The wind blew wantonly and blew away the smell of blood. However, it couldn't blow away the smell of death on the ground. This was the main theme of the war. It was unavoidable and impossible to avoid. Mercy still brought death, but at that time, it would not be the enemy who died. After 10 minutes, there was a loud cheer on the city wall of Yuyang County. Marquis Champion! Marquis Champion! Marquis Champion! The soldiers were cheering for Yi Chun and the army of Samsara City. They survived because of Yi Chun and the army of Samsara City. They were excited that they were still alive, excited that their families were safe and sound. The corpses on the ground stretched as far as the eye could see. It was like purgatory on earth. However, no one was afraid. No one was afraid, because they were the soldiers of Yuzhou and Yi Chun, the governor of Yuzhou. At this moment, the winner was their prefecture overseer, Yi Chun. Looking at the cheering soldiers on the city wall of Yuyang County, Yi Chun couldn't help but smile. Facing such a large army of golden turban soldiers, they could still fight until now. The soldiers of Yuzhou were indeed brave. As soon as Yi Chun thought about it, Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, and Zhao Meng arrived on their horses. As soon as they arrived, the four of them were stunned because Guan Er was beside Yi Chun. However, they didn't dare to delay. They hurriedly dismounted and bowed to Yi Chun. Reporting to my lord, the Golden Scarf army has been completely annihilated. Yi Chun chuckled and nodded, then said, "Very good. Are there any casualties?" Upon hearing this, Zhao Yun, Gao Shun, Dian Xiong, and Zhao Meng simultaneously smiled and bowed. Reporting to the Lord, there were no casualties. The soldiers of Samsara City were all equipped with diamond-level equipment and were the best of the best. If the Gold Scarf soldiers could not even break through the defense of the soldiers of Samsara City, how could they kill the soldiers of Samsara City? When Yi Chun heard this, he nodded in satisfaction and said, "Pass down the order. Clean up the battlefield." "Yes, my lord." Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, Dian Xiong, and Gao Shun bowed in unison, and then went to convey Yi Chun's order. Not long after, the Samsara City army began to clean up the battlefield. At this time, the players behind Yi Chun arrived. Looking at the battlefield that was littered with corpses, the players' jaws dropped. Sigh. If I had known this would happen, I would have come sooner. Now, I didn't get anything. It can't be helped. Boss Yi Chun is too awesome. This is a gold scarf, not a shifter. If it was a shifter, perhaps he would have left some for us. Later on, let's continue to pick up the equipment that Boss Yi Chun thinks is trash and sell it for some money. It's not like we didn't get anything. Hee, that's true. If we have enough money, we can buy gold-level equipment. If we are lucky, we might even be able to buy a diamond-level equipment. Ha ha, that's true. While the players were discussing, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, Gao Shun, Dian Xiong, and Guo Yi came to Yi Chun's side. The moment they arrived, Guan Er took the initiative to greet them. Hudong, Guan Er, and Guan Yunchang greet Chancellor Guo, General Yunzheng, General Dian Xiong, General Gao Shun, and General Zhao Meng. Obviously, Guan Er had heard of the names of Guo Yi, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, Dian Xiong, and Gao Shun and recognized them at a glance. Ying Chuan, Guo Yi, and Guo Fengxiao greet Brother Yunchang. Changshan, Zhao Yun, and Zhao Yun greet Brother Yunchang. Changshan, Zhao Meng, and Zhao Zifang greet Brother Yunchang. Chenlu and Dian Xiong greet Brother Yunchang. Gao Shun greet Brother Yunchang. Guo Yi, Dian Xiong, Zhao Yun, Zhao Meng, and Gao Shun smiled and returned the greeting. When Guan Er heard this, he was taken aback. However, he quickly returned to normal and hurriedly returned the greeting. His attitude was very amiable. Guan Er was taken aback because Dian Xiong didn't have a name. Not only did Gao Shun not have a name, but he didn't even mention where his ancestral home was. Without a name, it meant that he didn't have a good family background. If he didn't even know where his ancestral home was, it was obvious that he was an orphan since young. However, Guan Er didn't show any contempt because of this. This was because both Dian Xiong and Gao Shun were generals who led 100,000 soldiers. Moreover, the two of them had followed Yi Chun before him. Whether it was ability or martial strength, they were definitely not lacking. And now, Guan Er had also begun to follow Yi Chun. How could he put on any airs? Yi Chun nodded in satisfaction at Guan Er's performance. Harmonious subordinates and no factions. This was what Yi Chun liked to see the most. At this moment, the gates of Yuyang City creaked open. The general guarding the city led several thousand soldiers out of the city and hurried towards Yi Chun. Not long after, the general leading the soldiers arrived in front of Yi Chun. He then got down on one knee and loudly bowed. Zhang Liao, Zhang Wenyuan greets Lord Prefecture Overseer. "Greetings, Lord Prefecture Overseer." The soldiers also got down on one knee and loudly bowed. When Yi Chen heard this, he was stunned. "Zhang Liao, Zhang Wenyuan, F***CK. It can't be. Could it be that Zhang Liao hasn't followed Ding Yuan?" As Yi Chen was thinking this, Zhang Liao untied the sword at his waist and took off his armor, revealing his blood-stained clothes. Seeing this, Yi Chen was even more confused. What was going on? At this moment, Zhang Liao placed his hands behind his back and said, "This commoner originally wanted to join the army, but when I passed by Yuyang, the Golden Scarf Rebellion happened. However, all the civil and military officials of Yuyang fled. This commoner could not bear to see the common people suffer, so I took the position of general guarding the city without authorization. If Lord Prefecture Overseer had not arrived in time, not a single person in Yuyang would have been spared. However, this commoner acted without authorization and violated the laws of the state. Lord Prefecture Overseer, please forgive this commoner." Yi Chen immediately understood. I was wondering why this Zhang Liao was so strange. So this is what happened. Just as Yi Chen thought this, the soldiers who followed him to Yuyang City immediately started pleading for mercy. Lord Prefecture Overseer, without General Zhang, Yuyang would have been flattened by the Golden Scarf Army long ago. This lowly one begs Lord Prefecture Overseer to forgive General Zhang. That's right, Lord Prefecture Overseer. Without General Zhang, all of Yuyang would have flowed with rivers of blood. Although General Zhang took the position of general guarding the city without authorization, none of us objected. If Lord Prefecture Overseer wants to punish him, this lowly one is willing to sacrifice his life. Lord Prefecture Overseer, please spare General Zhang. This lowly one is also willing. Chapter 333. The soldiers of Yuyang City begged for mercy for Zhang Liao with sincere words. Obviously, they all knew that Zhang Liao was guilty, but they didn't want him to be punished. Seeing this, Yi Chen sighed secretly and then raised his hand to signal them to be quiet. When the soldiers of Yuyang City quieted down, Yi Chen looked at Zhang Liao, who was waiting for his punishment, and said, "You did well. Facing hundreds of enemies, you still stood firm and didn't lose the reputation of Yuzhou. If anyone dares to say that you are guilty, I will be the first to punish him." Hearing Yi Chen's words, Zhang Liao was stunned and then looked up at Yi Chen. He never expected that not only did Yi Chen not blame him, he even thought that what he did was right. Furthermore, Yi Chen's words were full of praise. After all, he was just a commoner who took the position of the general of the city. Even if his purpose was to resist the Golden Turban, it was a fact that he took it. No official position could be appointed by oneself. Once it was appointed, it was disrespectful to the emperor and was tantamount to rebellion. However, Yi Chen's meaning couldn't be more obvious. Zhang Liao was not guilty and did the right thing. Hearing this, the soldiers of Yuyang City were all excited. Yi Chen didn't think Zhang Liao was guilty because Zhang Liao was fine. Because Yi Chen had the power to appoint and dismiss all the officials in Yuzhou. Looking at the surprised Zhang Liao, Yi Chen smiled and said, "Wen Yuan, you have the talent to command troops and the desire to join the army. Let me ask you, are you willing to follow me?" Hearing this, Zhang Liao was overjoyed. Without thinking, he took back his hands behind his back and said, "I am willing to follow you. This general is willing to follow my lord. Please take me in." Ding. Congratulations to player Yi Chen for obtaining the loyalty of the first-class historical generals, Zhang Liao and Zhang Wenyuan. Hearing the system's notification, Yi Chen laughed and quickly walked up to help Zhang Liao up, then said, "Brother Zhang, I'm sorry." Zhang Liao, from now on, you will be the 6th general of Samsara City. Are you confident in leading 100,000 soldiers? My lord. When Zhang Liao heard this, he was stunned for a moment before he cried out in shock. Zhang Liao could hear the importance in Yi Chen's words. However, Zhang Liao did not expect Yi Chen to think so highly of him, to the point that he immediately asked him to lead 100,000 soldiers. Originally, Zhang Liao thought that Yi Chen would give him the position of deputy general or deputy general. After all, he had just followed the emperor and had not made any contributions. How could he possibly become a general? He had never even thought about it. Who would have thought that Yi Chen would not give him the position of deputy general or deputy general, but the position of commander-in-chief of 100,000 soldiers? If this had happened anywhere else, it would have been impossible. But here in Yi Chen, it had really happened. Zhang Liao wasn't stupid. How could he not understand this? Zhang Liao didn't think he was that stupid. It was because he understood that Zhang Liao was so shocked. Of course, he was also touched. Don't underestimate yourself. Besides, only those with talent can secure your position. Do you think that you don't have the talent? Yi Chen laughed and patted Zhang Liao on the shoulder as he spoke. Zhang Liao tried hard to calm his racing heart. Then, with a bang, he knelt down on one knee and bowed loudly. Liao, I am confident. I swear to the heavens that I will follow you until my death and never betray you. If I break this oath, may the heavens and earth destroy me. Ding! Zhang Liao's loyalty plus 10. Ding! Zhang Liao's loyalty has reached 100. He has advanced to loyal. Hearing the system's notification, Yi Chen laughed out loud. He then helped the excited Zhang Liao up and solemnly said, "Thank you." He said solemnly, "Wen Yuan, from today on, you are officially the 6th general of Samsara City. You will be in charge of recruiting soldiers. Remember, the soldiers must be at least level C. If they're not qualified, they will not be recruited." "Yes, my lord." Zhang Liao was slightly stunned when he heard this. When he came back to his senses, he hurriedly bowed and replied. Zhang Liao did not expect Yi Chen to have such high requirements for soldiers. As soon as Zhang Liao finished speaking, the majority of the city guards of Yuyang County had ashen faces. Yi Chen noticed the abnormality in the soldiers guarding Yuyang County and could not help but look over. In the next second, Yi Chen realized why the soldiers suddenly turned from excited to depressed. Glancing at the soldiers, Yi Chen smiled and said, "You are not afraid of death. You are willing to use your lives to resist the Golden Turban Army, which is hundreds of times stronger than you. This is enough to prove that you have an iron will. You are worthy of being called elite soldiers. Therefore, you will also be included in the 100,000 soldiers commanded by Wen Yuan." As soon as Yi Chen said this, the ashen-faced soldiers were stunned. Then, they became excited again. Yi Chen looked at the excited soldier and smiled. He then looked at Zhang Liao and said, "Brother Zhang Liao, I'm sorry. Wen Yuan, in this battle of Yuyang County, there were a large number of casualties. Those who were injured will be compensated with 1 gold coin. Those who died will be compensated with 10 gold coins. Their families will be taken care of by Samsara City." Zhang Liao was stunned when he heard this. He did not expect Yi Chen to be so kind to the soldiers. After coming back to his senses, Zhang Liao's expression suddenly became serious. He bowed and replied loudly, "Yes, my lord." Yi Chen nodded. Then his eyes turned cold and he asked, "Wen Yuan, do you know those officials who ran away?" "My lord, I am not familiar with those officials. However, not long after they abandoned the city, they were blocked by the Golden Turban Army. None of them survived." Zhang Liao was slightly stunned and then bowed. "They got lucky." Yi Chen frowned slightly and then said in a deep voice. Then he waved his right hand and 10 boxes of gold coins appeared. Pointing at the 10 boxes of gold coins on the ground, Yi Chen continued, "If the treasury of Yuyang County is not enough, use these to deal with the emergency. My lord, there is no need for so many. We can't even use half a box." Zhang Liao hurriedly bowed and said when he saw the 10 boxes of gold coins on the ground, "These are not just for giving out pensions." Yi Chen smiled and then said. Then he waved at Guo Yi. Seeing this, Guo Yi immediately walked over. Zhang Liao hurriedly took a few steps forward and greeted Guo Yi. He then cupped his fist and said, "Gate of Yinshan, Zhang Liao, Zhang Wenyuan greets Chancellor Guo. Ingchuan, Guo Yi, Guo Fengxiao greets Brother Wenyuan." Guo Yi smiled and returned the greeting. Zhang Liao returned the greeting again and then looked at Zhao Yun and the others. They all returned the greeting. Gui waited for Zhang Liao to finish the greeting before he took out a notice and handed it to Zhang Liao. Then he said, "The use of the gold coins given by the Lord, besides the soldiers, is on this notice." Zhang Liao took the notice and immediately opened it. After 10 minutes, Zhang Liao's eyes suddenly widened. He looked at Yi Chun and bowed, saying, "Brother Yi, please forgive me. I will do my best to complete the Lord's orders. I will not let anyone who disobeys the Lord in Yuyang County." Chapter 334. When Yi Chun heard this, he chuckled and nodded, then said, "All right, I'll leave Yin Yang to win you on. Although recruiting soldiers is important, the most important thing is to buy food from those tyrants. If they don't comply, don't show any mercy. If they resist, kill them without mercy." "Yes, my lord." "My lord." Zhang Liao nodded heavily, then bowed in response. Zhang Liao originally couldn't stand those tyrants who profited from disasters. In order to make money, those tyrants' conscience had been eaten by dogs. They set the price of food extremely high, and the price would change from time to time. Now, the price of food had become 8 times the usual price, and it was still rising. Zhang Liao used to be a commoner. Although he couldn't stand it, he couldn't do anything about it. Now that he followed Yi Chun, without Yi Chun's orders, Zhang Liao could only watch helplessly. However, the fact was that Yi Chun had given him an order, and it was even more ruthless than what he had in mind. Zhang Liao naturally agreed from the bottom of his heart. It was impossible for him to be merciful. Moreover, Yi Chun's policy in Yuzhou was already very polite to those tyrants. It had to be known that buying food at twice the usual price was not a loss for the tyrants. If they weren't willing, then it meant that they weren't willing to submit to Yi Chun. There was no need to be polite to such people. Just kill them. At this moment, a world announcement sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for becoming the 6th person to obtain the loyalty of a first-rate historical general, Zhang Liao. Because of his special status, player Yi Chun is rewarded with 10 million gold. The world announcement was repeated 3 times, once again causing the already lively world announcement to explode. Damn, there's no justice. He just took in Guan Air, and now he's taking in Zhang Liao. Is Yi Chun trying to take in all the historical generals? F***CK. Yi Chun is too ruthless. He's really good at poaching people. He poached Xiao Qiao, Royal Uncle Lu, Royal Uncle Lu, Royal Uncle Lu, Sun Quan, and so on. You should be content with what you have. Yi Chun didn't go and poach those historical beauties. If he continues, all the good stuff will become Yi Chun's. You make it sound like someone has gotten some awesome person to follow him. Let's not talk about that. I've never even seen anyone subdue a historical beauty before. Don't all women love handsome men? I'm so King handsome. Why didn't any of the historical beauties I saw look at me in the eye? Yi Chun, on the other hand, received a whole bunch of them. Don't forget the background of this game, the end of the Eastern Han dynasty. Being King handsome is useful, but you also need to be awesome, have an official position, and have martial strength. It seems like Yi Chun is the best in these 2 areas. He is the best in the human race. Moreover, why is Yi Chun so handsome? Sigh, comparisons are odious. Yi Chun has an official position, martial strength, and looks. No wonder he's so lucky. Don't be envious. Hurry up and kill the golden turbans. As long as you kill enough, you can still get an official position. That way, those historical figures won't ignore us. We might even be able to subdue a historical beauty. The World Channel was very lively. Yi Chun glanced at it and then curled his lips in disdain. Subduing historical generals, historical civil officials, or historical beauties wasn't something that could be done just by having an official position, martial strength, and good looks. This required one to reach a certain position in the government and have a certain level of martial prowess. Furthermore, one needed to make a name for themselves and have a high reputation in the Great Han Dynasty. Yi Chun, on the other hand, had taken 2 hours to break through Ping City and flatten Wuhan in a day. Everyone in the Great Han Empire knew about this. In addition, Yi Chun was the great general of agile cavalry, the governor of Yuzhou, and the marquee champion. Yi Chun was worthy of being called the best player. Even among the natives of the game world, Yi Chun's reputation overshadowed everyone. All of this combined allowed Yi Chun to constantly subdue historical generals and civil officials. In fact, historical generals and civil officials even took the initiative to join him. As for historical beauties, subduing them required good looks. Yi Chun was obviously the handsome type. However, these weren't the main reasons. More importantly, one needed talent, martial strength, courage, and fame. In the end, it was true that beauties loved heroes. However, this hero also depended on who he was. Compared to Yi Chun, none of the players could compare to him. Even if those players obtained official positions and made certain achievements because of the Golden Turban's rebellion, they could forget about getting the favor of historical beauties. This was because this was far from enough. Moreover, Yi Chun wouldn't let others go on a killing spree. Whether it was the Golden Turbans or the Demon Race, they were all existences that Yi Chun wanted to kill. Yi Chun was the only one who wanted to go on a killing spree and succeed. Because at this moment, no one could compare to Yi Chun, and no one could compare to the powerful army of Samsara City. Yi Chun was very confident about this. Thinking of this, Yi Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Then, he looked at Zhang Liao and said, "Go ahead and distribute the food. Give it to the people as soon as possible, especially the lonely elderly and children. Don't worry about not having enough food. Those tycoons have a lot of food. Even if it's not enough, don't worry. Samsara City has stored a lot of food. When the time comes, you can go to Samsara City to transport the food. Make sure that everyone has enough to eat and don't starve." Zhang Liao was stunned when he heard this. Over the years, the imperial court's disaster relief was often just for show. Not much food was actually distributed to the people. But this wasn't important. What was important was that the imperial court didn't specifically say that the lonely elderly and children needed to be taken care of. But Yi Chun not only wanted to help the people, but also specifically pointed out that the lonely elderly and children should be taken care of. It was obvious who was better and who was worse. Guo Yi, Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, Zhao Meng, and Guan Er looked at each other and then looked at Yi Chun. They bowed and said loudly, "My lord is merciful." Yi Chun looked at them and then nodded with a smile. Zhang Liao took a deep breath. After a long exhalation, he bowed deeply and said, "My lord is merciful. I'll go and prepare the food now." Yi Chun nodded and said, "Go ahead." Zhang Liao bowed again and then ordered the soldiers to carry 10 boxes of gold and left. At this time, the army of Samsara City finished cleaning up the battlefield and began to assemble. When the army of Samsara City was assembled, Yi Chun looked at Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, and Zhao Meng and said, "Split up. Clear out the remaining Demon Tribe and Golden Turban in Yuyang, Shanggu, and Dai Commandery. Then, gather in Zhuo Commandery." "Yes, my lord." Zhao Yun, Dian Xiong, Gao Shun, and Zhao Meng heard this and bowed together. After that, they led their troops and left. Yi Chun looked at the army of Samsara City and smiled. Then, he looked at Guan Er and Guo Yi and said, "Let's go to Zhuo Commandery." Chapter 335. "Yes, your lordship, my lord." Guo Yi and Guan Er bowed respectfully at this point. Yi Chun smiled and mounted his horse. He squeezed the horse's belly and charged toward Zhuo County. Guo Yi and Guan Er followed closely behind. Behind them were the 10,000 fully equipped Samsara Legion. Rumble. 10,000 bulls galloped, and the earth shook. Before long, Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion and disappeared from the gamers' sight. 99% of the gamers who followed Yi Chun to the battlefield charged towards the battlefield to pick up the equipment that Yi Chun didn't want. They followed Yi Chun to reap some benefits. There were many pieces of equipment that Yi Chun didn't want on the battlefield. How could they ignore it? As for the remaining small group of players, none of them went to pick up the equipment. They all looked at each other, and most of them revealed hesitant expressions. It was obvious that they were hesitating if they should go to Zhua County and abandon the equipment on the battlefield. A gamer in his 20s looked at the crowd and said, "Yi-chun has gone to Zhua County. We can't stay here for long. We have to get to Zhua County as soon as possible." Little Ming, are you sure there are benefits to going to Zhua County? Better than picking up the equipment here? Someone asked doubtfully. Yeah, we won't be able to get any benefits even if we go to Zhua County. Even Guan Air was taken in by Yi-chun, and we're all solo players. We won't be able to take in Zhang-san even if we go there. Besides, even if Zhang-san doesn't follow Royal Uncle Liu, he'll still choose Yi-chun, not us. Why don't we pick up some equipment before going to Zhua County? The gamer in his 20s frowned. He looked at the gamers who didn't pick up the equipment and said, "I've already developed a rule. At this point in the game's development, I've already figured out a pattern. Basically, once something in history is about to happen, some missions will appear. And Zhua County is the place where the Oath of the Peach Garden happened. There should be related missions." That can't be right. Guan Air has been recruited by Yi-chun. Where did the 3 swears of Peach Garden come from? That's right. Without Guan Air, would it still be the 3 pledges of the Peach Garden? When a player in his 20s heard this, he was silent for a moment. This could be used as an experiment. If the Oath of the 3 of the Peach Garden still happens, then it can prove one thing. This game world will automatically correct history. What should have happened will still happen. You're right. But historically, Yuzhou should have belonged to Gongsun Zan. But now, Yuzhou belongs to Yi-chun, someone said with a frown. That's right. In history, Kai Mei even married Wei Zhongdao. But in the end, she didn't even get married. Yi-chun beat her to it. That's not all. In history, Diao-chan was the key to killing Dongda. Later on, she followed Abe. In history, Huang Weiner followed Liang Fulong. As for Mi Zhen, she followed Uncle Liu. But in the end, they all followed Yi-chun. The player in his 20s frowned and said, "You don't understand." No, you don't understand what I mean. What I mean is that as long as the key figures are still around, the big events in history will still happen. The Oath of the Peach Garden is not a big event, nor is it a small one. Moreover, this is also a test. If it's true, then we can make targeted preparations for the later historical events. That way, we can obtain the greatest benefits. Yi-chun is leading in every aspect. Is this the reason why he can do so? He's familiar with history, so he made targeted plans for it. In the end, he succeeded. Now, he's the #1 person of a human race. A player said in realization. That's possible. However, I feel that Yi-chun's success isn't just because he's familiar with history. He definitely knows some other secrets. This is publicly acknowledged. If Yi-chun didn't know the game's secrets, he wouldn't have done so well. Unfortunately, the righteousness of the human race and the survival of the human race didn't make Yi-chun soft-hearted. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in such a miserable state. When the player in his 20s heard this, he frowned again and said in a deep voice, "If you don't want to go, then forget it. I'll go first. Don't." It wasn't easy for us to reach an agreement to kill the golden scarf and the shifter together and reap the benefits. It's just some trash equipment. Let's not take it. Let's go to Zhua Commandery and verify Xiaoming's deduction. If it's true, we can reap a lot of benefits in the future. That's right. Let's go to Zhua Commandery. The players who didn't pick up the equipment said one after another and ran towards Zhua Commandery. If Yi-chun was here, he would immediately recognize the player in his 20s. In his previous life, he was known as the Star of Wisdom, Wang Xiaoming. Of course, he had another nickname, Blood Demon. He was a solo player or a casual player, but he was resourceful. He had done many big things and succeeded. Not long after, he was given the title of Star of Wisdom by the players. Many solo players worshipped him like a god. This was because they could obtain many benefits by following Wang Xiaoming. However, this wasn't the key. The key was that Wang Xiaoming, who seemed to be a good person, was actually playing a very big game of chess. Until one day, Wang Xiaoming revealed his true colors. He killed millions of players and used their blood and souls to cultivate the Blood God Sutra. Of course, it happened in real life and not in the game. That day, millions of humans listened to Wang Xiaoming's call and ran to a certain place to plot something big. However, 1 million humans, without exception, had their blood and souls extracted by Wang Xiaoming, causing them to die extremely miserably. It wasn't until someone went to look for their missing relatives that they discovered Wang Xiaoming's despicable actions and made it public. At first, no one knew why Wang Xiaoming had such a sinister and vicious technique. It wasn't until the secret of the game capsule was exposed that the players knew. The reason Wang Xiaoming knew the Blood God Sutra was that he had seen Pangu split open the sky at the beginning of the game and obtain the innate technique. It was also at that moment that the players snatched the game capsules crazily. Everyone wanted to try and see if they could see Pangu split open the sky again. Unfortunately, this was something that was impossible to happen. Joie commandery. Rumble. Tens of thousands of bulls galloped, and the earth shook. A huge flag with the word Yi fluttered in the wind. Yi Chun led the Samsara Legion all the way here. Looking at the tightly shut Jua County city gate, Yi Chun couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Guanair, I'll take him. Zhang San, this guy, seems to have a bad temper. Just as Yi Chun finished thinking, the general guarding Jua County hurriedly stood up, bowed, and said, Brother Jua, please forgive me. May I ask if you are general of agile cavalry, Yi Chun, Yi Yuzhou? Chapter 336. Yi Chun glanced at the general on the city wall and nodded. He waved his right hand, and the official seal of the General of Agile Cavalry appeared in his right hand. It appeared in Yi Chun's storage space automatically when he was teleported back to Samsara City during the Golden Turban Rebellion. It was a symbol of Yi Chun's identity. Even if others had not seen Yi Chun before, they would immediately recognize Yi Chun after seeing the official seal of the General of Agile Cavalry. In normal times, there was no need for this at all. Moreover, the city gate was always open. However, during wartime, such as the current Golden Turban Rebellion and the invasion of the Demon Tribe, the city gate was closed most of the time. The city gate would never be opened without confirming the identity of the person. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. Of course, this had a lot to do with the fact that the general had never seen Yi Chun before. If he had seen Yi Chun, he would not have dared to ask about Yi Chun's identity. When the general saw the golden official seal in Yi Chun's right hand, he was delighted and hurriedly bowed. Greetings, General of Agile Cavalry. Greetings, General of Agile Cavalry. The soldiers on the city wall all bowed excitedly. Both the general and the soldiers were very excited at this moment. As for the reason, it was very simple. At this moment, the world was in chaos. With the Golden Turban Rebellion and the Demon Tribe, the small number of soldiers in Jua Commandery would not last long if they were besieged by the army. But now, their prefecture overseer, Yi Chun, was here. The frustration in their hearts disappeared instantly, because they had all heard of Yi Chun, General of Agile Cavalry. They knew that Yi Chun was the most powerful general in the Great Han Empire at this moment. He was unparalleled in the world and could command troops like a god. With Yi Chun here, how could Jua Commandery be in danger? It was because of this that the soldiers on the city wall were so excited. Yi Chun glanced at the soldiers of Jua Commandery, who were saluting him, and nodded with a smile. When the general saw Yi Chun smile, he was overjoyed and hurriedly shouted, Hurry up! Open the city gate. Welcome to the city, General of the Imperial Cavalry. As soon as the general finished speaking, the city gate opened with a creak. Swish! The soldiers of Jua County at the city gate all knelt down on one knee. They held their spears and welcomed Yi Chun into the city. Seeing this, Yi Chun slightly smiled and said, Enter the city. After saying that, he rode his horse towards the city gate. Gui, Guanair, and the Samsara Legion followed Yi Chun into Zhuojian City. Yi Chun had just entered the city when he attracted a large commotion. F*CK. It really is Yi Chun. That's the rhinoceros Yi Chun got. Holy shit, it's so big, and it's even wearing armor. Someone said that it's the barbaric rhinoceros. It's F*King awesome. Even my gold level weapon can't break its defense. Yi Chen's luck is too good. He got so many barbaric rhinoceroses. Not only that, I heard that the barbaric rhinoceroses are extremely strong. Even a Xiantian realm expert would have to kneel before the barbaric rhinoceroses without a proper weapon. Look, look. Damn, Yi Chen soldiers are all wearing diamond-level equipment. Diamond-level equipment? Take a closer look. Are those even diamond-level equipment? The weapons in their hands are different, and they have halos. They're definitely Earth-level or even Heaven-level weapons. F***CK. Is that Guanair with the red face? F***CK. Yi Chen must have cheated. The players in Jua Commandery were discussing Yi Chen. Their voices were full of shock. At this moment, the general who went down the city wall to welcome Yi Chen stopped in his tracks. He pointed at the players and shouted angrily, "How dare you? How dare you call His Excellency the Prefecture Overseer by his name? Go capture all of these unruly people." In the next second, a group of soldiers pounced on the players and captured a large group of players in a few moves. The other players saw that the situation wasn't good and ran away immediately. F***CK. What's going on? Can I even talk about it? A player who was captured shouted in confusion. Slap. The soldier who captured the player slapped him without hesitation and shouted, "How dare you? F***CK, let go of me. Otherwise, I'll kill you." The player who was slapped in the face shouted angrily. Zung. The general unsheathed his sword and placed it on the player's neck. The player who was furious a moment ago was shocked. He hurriedly shouted, "It's a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding." He was afraid that he would be killed by the general. Under normal circumstances, if he died, he would only lose 10 levels. If he was charged with a crime and beheaded, his level would be reset to 0. How could he not be afraid? How could he not be worried? The players who were watching from a distance were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with disbelief. They didn't think that mentioning Yi Chen's name would cause them to be killed by the natives of this world. Yi Chen looked at the captured players and raised his eyebrows. He then rode his horse towards the city lord's mansion. In this world, the concept of hierarchy was very important. Yi Chen was used to it, but the natives of this world weren't. It didn't matter if the players were rude. The soldiers of this world would choose to ignore them. At most, they would show disdain. However, if the players were rude to Yi Chen and Yuzhou, it was a completely different matter. After all, Yi Chen was the Great Han Empire's agile cavalry general and the Yuzhou overseer. His status was extremely noble. How could a commoner call him by his name and be so disrespectful? As long as the soldiers of Yuzhou encountered them, they would definitely capture them. There was no doubt about this. Not to mention, Yi Chen was here. The general couldn't pretend that he didn't hear anything. "Lord Prefecture Overseer, don't go. I was wrong. Please ask him to let me go. I won't dare to call Lord Prefecture Overseer's name in the future." The player with the sword against his neck panicked and hurriedly begged for mercy. He was afraid that he would be killed by the general as a criminal. If that happened, he wouldn't be able to survive in this game world. Hearing the players begging, Yi Chen couldn't help but smile. In the real world, there weren't as many rules as in ancient times. It wasn't possible for the players to call Yi Chen Lord Governor or use honorifics. At the very least, most of the players would feel uncomfortable. Moreover, they weren't willing to call him that, because if they called him that, it would show that their status was low and inferior. Even though they knew that Yi Chen was very strong, so strong that he was invincible, not many people were willing to call him Lord Prefecture Overseer in place of his name. If they brought their habits from the real world to the game world, they would suffer a loss. Sometimes it would be a great loss. Thinking of this, Yi Chen looked at the general and said calmly, "Let's keep them for 3 days. 3 days is enough." "Yes, Lord Governor, Lord Prefecture Overseer." When the general heard this, he hurriedly bowed. The captured players were shocked. They didn't just want to live. They also wanted to avoid being locked up. However, Yi Chen's words determined that they would be imprisoned for 3 days. It was the Golden Turban Rebellion and the Fiend Race's invasion. If they were locked up for 3 days, they wouldn't be able to obtain many good items. "Yi Chen, are you F***king doing this on purpose?" A person looked at Yi Chen with an ashen face and roared angrily. Poochie, poochie, poochie. Several sounds were heard. The players who had just been enraged were instantly pierced with multiple spears by the personal guards of the defending general. They were deader than dead. In the next second, the player turned into a ball of white light and was reborn. However, his rebirth started at level 0. Chapter 337. The other captured players were about to curse Yi-chun, but when they saw this, they hastily shut their mouths, not daring to say a word. Fuck, do you have to be so savage? You can't even talk. This was what all the players were thinking, but this was reality. This was the end of the Easter Han dynasty, and there was a hierarchy. If a player shouted Yi-chun's name in the World Channel, no one would care. But if a player shouted Yi-chun's name in front of the soldiers, especially the Yuzhou soldiers, they wouldn't have a good ending. Not to mention that a player had cursed Yi-chun. And none of this was under Yi-chun's control. It was the actions of the natives in the game world. Yi-chun could stop them, but Yi-chun couldn't ask the great general to release the captives for the sake of these players. As long as Yi-chun said this, Yi-chun's reputation would be affected. Yi-chun was the Great Han Empire's swift cavalry great general, the Yuzhou overseer, and the marquee champion. How could he release the captives after being cursed by a commoner? If this spread, Yi-chun would be labeled as a weakling who didn't live up to his reputation. Therefore, Yi-chun didn't care about this at all. Moreover, let alone the Yuzhou soldiers. Even Yi-chun himself wouldn't let someone off so easily if they cursed him. Seeing the white light that appeared when the players revived, Yi-chun sneered in disdain. Then he rode his horse back to the city lord's mansion. When the great general saw this, he hastily led the way. At this moment, the great general was panicking because someone had cursed Yi-chun in front of Yi-chun. Although the soldier had killed that person on the spot, this was his dereliction of duty. Seeing the great general run to the front to lead the way with a face covered in cold sweat, Yi-chun couldn't help but smile. Then he said, "You just need to go to the city wall. Don't let the Yuzhou Golden Scarf survivors or the Devil Ray survivors take advantage of this loophole." Most of the Yuzhou Golden Scarf and Devil Ray survivors had been killed by Yi-chun. However, there were still some remaining existences. Naturally, they couldn't let their guard down. When the general heard this, he shuddered all of a sudden. In his opinion, Yi-chun must have something against him. Otherwise, why would he not ask him to lead the way? However, when he saw Yi-chun smile, the stone hanging in his heart fell to the ground. Then, he bowed deeply and said, "Yes, Lord Prefecture Overseer, this general will go to the city wall now. I will not allow any Jin or demons to enter Zhou County." Yi-chun chuckled and nodded. Then, he continued walking towards the city lord's mansion. Not long after Yi-chun left with the Samsara Legion, a group of burly Han soldiers arrived at the gates of Zhujian City. As soon as they arrived, the centurion took out a seal from his bosom and passed it to the general on the wall through a hanging basket. After the general finished reading, he frowned. He then turned to look at the guard and said in a low voice, "Don't worry. Go. Tell the prefecture overseer that Liu Yan is here to recruit soldiers." "Yes, General." When the personal guard of the general heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. Then, he hurriedly bowed and responded. After that, he hurriedly ran towards the city lord's mansion. At the gates of Zhujian City, Liu Yan's centurion frowned when he saw that the gates of Zhujian City were not open. He then shouted, "Why aren't you opening the gates?" The general glanced at the centurion and shouted, "There have been too many spies recently. Your identities need to be confirmed. Once confirmed, you can enter the city." In fact, the general had already confirmed the identities of these people, saying this was just an excuse. As for the reason, it was very simple. In the general's opinion, he was Yi-chun's subordinate. Now that Liu Yan was here to recruit soldiers from Yuzhou, how could he sit back and do nothing? Moreover, this was also a way to express his loyalty to Yi-chun. When the centurion under Liu Yan heard this, he was instantly enraged. What did he mean by confirming their identities? This was too much. How could Liu Yan's seal be fake? However, he could not refute the general's words. Liu Yan's centurion gnashed his teeth as he glanced at the general guarding the city. He coldly snorted and shouted. He snorted and said, "I advise you to confirm my identity as soon as possible. Otherwise, when I return, I will definitely report you to the overseer." "How dare you be so presumptuous, Centurion Chu? I think you must be a golden scarf spy." The general's eyes widened and he shouted. Liu Yan Centurion was shocked when he heard the general's words. In the past, when he went to other places, he could enter as soon as he saw the seal and was treated well. Because he was the representative of Liu Yan, a member of the Great Han royal family, no one dared to treat him badly. Along the way, he had been living comfortably, and his temper had also risen along with the wind. Who would have thought that he would run into a problem the moment he entered Yuzhou? There were too many golden scarf demons here. He ran to Liaoshi after many twists and turns. Then, he was put in his place the moment he arrived. The soldiers guarding the city did not let him in at all. Even though he said that he was under Liu Yan's orders to post the notice, no one let him in. It was only when he entered the city that he found out that the general of agile cavalry, Yi Chun, was in Liaoshi. He did not dare to show off and obediently followed Liu Yan's order to post the notice. The general of agile cavalry, Yi Chun, was the real deal. He was only a centurion and did not dare to be rude to Yi Chun. He only followed Yi Chun after Yi Chun left with his troops and continued to complete his mission. He did not dare to wander around. He only brought 100 men with him. Even if he encountered a golden scarf, he would be killed, let alone a demon. Then, he followed Yi Chun to Zhou Commandery. Who would have thought that he would be deliberately targeted when he was about to enter the city? How could he hold back his anger? He was Liu Yan's representative. Making things difficult for him was equivalent to making things difficult for Liu Yan. Slapping him in the face was equivalent to slapping Liu Yan in the face. Therefore, he lost his temper. However, the outcome was completely different from what he had expected. The general did not buy his words at all. Or rather, he did not care about Liu Yan at all. He even labeled him as a golden scarf spy. What was a golden scarf spy? He would be killed for nothing. At this moment, Liu Yan Centurion couldn't help but shudder. It was only then that he realized that so many people had given him face previously because those places were either in Liu Yan's territory or not far from Liu Yan's territory. However, it was different here. This was Yuzhou, far away from Liu Yan's territory. No one would give a centurion face. Even if he was Liu Yan's subordinate and represented Liu Yan's face, it was still not enough. The general glanced at the centurion in disdain and shouted, "Go arrest them." As soon as the general finished speaking, the city gates creaked open and a group of soldiers rushed out. "Don't resist." The centurion came back to his senses and hurriedly shouted. At that moment, he finally realized the truth. Damn, Lian had sent him to Yuzhou to put up the notice. He was definitely plotting against Yuzhou Governor Yichun. Putting up a notice to recruit volunteers sounded nice, but in the end, Liu Yan still wanted to steal Yuzhou's soldiers. It would be strange if he could be well received in Yuzhou province. Soon, the centurion and his subordinates were tied up like rice dumplings. After a while, the general's personal guard unhurriedly arrived at the city gates. He glanced at the bound centurion and his subordinates, then turned to the general and bowed. "General, His Excellency the Prefecture Overseer said to put up this notice at the city gates and on the streets." After the guard finished speaking, he took out a stack of notices from his bosom. The general took one and opened it. Not long after, he raised his eyebrows. He then looked at the soldiers and shouted, "What are you going to do? Go, prepare some paste, and put up the notice in a conspicuous place. Also, find some scholars and have them read out His Excellency the Prefecture Overseer's notice." "Yes, General. General." The soldiers bowed in unison and ran off to prepare paste. Not long after, Yuzhou Governor Yi Qin's notice was put up at the city gates and in conspicuous places on the streets. As for the scholars from Zhou County, they all went to the streets one by one and read the announcement out loud. With this thought, the people of Zhou County immediately cheered. "Great! His Excellency the Prefecture Overseer wants to recruit soldiers, and the treatment is so good. I want to join the army. I want to join the army." I've long heard that His Excellency, the Prefecture Overseer, is a godlike mercenary and loves his soldiers like his children. I want to join the army too." As the people of Zhuo Commandery enthusiastically discussed, Liu Yan's centurion at the city gates was stunned. After putting up the notice in Liaoxi, he had hurriedly left with Yi Chun, so he didn't know that Yi Chun had also put up a notice. But now, he knew, and he even knew the contents of Yi Chun's notice. Thinking of Liu Yan's notice, he thought, damn, there's a huge difference between them. Although Yi Chun had high requirements for recruiting soldiers, he didn't need soldiers to bring anything. He gave them good equipment and benefits, and they didn't need to be afraid of dying in battle. Even if they died in battle, their families would be taken care of by Samsara City for the rest of their lives. The general of the city guards glanced at the centurion, whose face alternated between blue and white, and curled his lips disdainfully. Then he waved his hand and said flatly, "Untie them." The soldiers of Zhuo Commandery immediately took the order, but the process of untying them was really torturous. Liu Yan's centurion and the soldiers he brought with him all screamed miserably. However, no one dared to complain. They were not stupid. Even if they were stupid before, after hearing the contents of Yi Chun's notice, they understood what they were going to do. They were going against Yi Chun, the general of agile cavalry of the Great Han Empire. At the thought of this, both the centurion and the soldiers he brought with him looked gloomy. Not long after, they were untied. Liu Yan's centurion looked at the notice from Yi Chun, the governor of Yuzhou. He wanted to reach into his pocket with his right hand several times, but he stopped halfway. After a while, he gritted his teeth and took out a notice from his pocket. Then he asked for paste from the soldiers and pasted it on an inconspicuous place at the city gate. After doing this, he turned around and left without hesitation. He didn't want to stay in Yuzhou for a second longer. If he continued to stay here, he was afraid that he would lose his life. The soldiers he brought with him also hurriedly left Zhuo Commandery. The moment they left, a world announcement suddenly rang out. Ding! Everyone is responsible for the rise and fall of the world. Liu Yan, the royal family of the Great Han Empire, in order to eliminate the evil in the world as soon as possible, has issued a notice to recruit soldiers. The notice has already reached Zhuo Commandery of Yuzhou. Ding! Historical storyline. The 3 Vows of Peach Garden has officially started. Players can choose to help Royal Uncle Liu complete the 3 Vows of Peach Garden or stop the 3 Vows of Peach Garden. If they succeed, they will be rewarded. Chapter 338. Ding! During the Oath of the Peach Garden, the gates of Zhuo County cannot be closed. Golden scarves and shifters cannot enter until the end of the storyline. The world announcement repeated 3 times, causing the entire world channel to explode. F***CK. Wasn't Guan Air taken in by Yi Chun? Why is there an oath of the Peach Garden? Who the hell knows? The world announcement can't be fake, right? Could there be another Guan Air? Otherwise, who is the oath of the Peach Garden with? I feel like someone will replace Guan Air. It doesn't matter who the oath of the oath is. The important thing is what the F***CK is the reward. The world announcement is so ambiguous and doesn't make it clear. Yeah, F***CK. The teleportation circle can't be used now. There are golden scarves and shifters everywhere. How are we going to get there? If we die halfway, we won't be able to get the reward. That's not worth it. I feel like the Oath of the Peach Garden rewards will be great. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a world announcement. That's what I feel too. But so F***King ambiguous. I'm not sure. Let's all choose to help Royal Uncle Liu. That way, everyone will benefit. F***CK, why don't we choose Royal Uncle Liu? You have to know that if we succeed, there will still be rewards. Moreover, in that case, Zhang San will no longer follow Royal Uncle Liu. Then, won't we all have a chance? Are you an idiot? Don't you know that Yuzhou is Yi Chen's territory? If Zhang San doesn't follow Royal Uncle Liu, then he will become Yi Chen's. You want to take in Zhang San? Dream on. Zhuo County, City Lord's Mansion. After Yi Chen heard the world announcement, He raised his eyebrows. The Oath of the Peach Garden storyline had indeed begun. I wonder who will replace Guan Heir. No matter who replaces Guan Heir, Royal Uncle Lu will die. No one can change this result. In his previous life, in the Oath of the Peach Garden storyline, many people chose to help Royal Uncle Lu because they knew that Royal Uncle Lu would be one of the overlords in the future. No matter if it was to build relationships, get close to him, or to gain benefits, many players would choose to help Royal Uncle Lu because by standing on Royal Uncle Lu's side, they would receive Guan Heir and Zhang San's help. It would be easier to complete the quest. Of course, the rewards obtained this way were not high. If he wanted to obtain a generous reward, he would have to stop the Oath of the Peach Garden and succeed. That way, the reward would be several times, even a dozen times, or even 100 times better than the reward for helping Royal Uncle Lu. Thinking of this, Yichen narrowed his eyes, a cold light flashing in them. I'll let Royal Uncle Lu live a little longer. I'll make my move when he's officially sworn brother. Only then would the reward be maximized. Thinking to this point, Yichen looked at the city lord of Zhuo County, who was in the hall, and said, there should be a horse dealer named Su Shuang in Zhuo County right now. After you find him, bring him here as soon as possible. Yichen wanted to forge a weapon for Guan Heir, the green dragon crescent blade. Naturally, he had to find Su Shuang. In history, Su Shuang had provided Emperor Lu with military provisions, war horses, and 1,000 caddies of wrought iron when Emperor Lu rose to power. Of course, the key was not these. Among the 1,000 caddies of wrought iron, there was a piece of extraterrestrial black iron that weighed 300 caddies. The reason why Guan Heir, Royal Uncle Lu, and Zhang San's weapons were divine weapons was because of the extraterrestrial black iron that Su Shuang had mistaken for wrought iron. Yichen's target was also that piece of extraterrestrial black iron. When the Zhuo County city governor heard this, he could not help but be stunned. He could not understand why Yichen wanted to see Su Shuang. Although he did not understand, he did not dare to delay. After regaining his senses, he hurriedly bowed and said, yes, Prefecture Overseer. After the Zhuo County city governor finished speaking, he hurriedly left and sent someone to find Su Shuang. At this moment, a soldier hurriedly ran over. As soon as he entered, he knelt on one knee and bowed loudly. Reporting to Prefecture Overseer, there is a butcher outside the city governor's mansion. He calls himself Zhang San, Zhang Ida. He wants to see Prefecture Overseer. When Yichen heard this, he could not help but be stunned. Then his eyes lit up. Holy shit! The Oath of the Three in the Peach Garden had just started and Zhang San was already here. Could it be the recruitment notice? When he thought of this, Yichen immediately stood up and walked towards the door. When Guo Yi and Guan Heir saw this, they were both stunned. Then, they hurriedly followed Yichen out of the door. 50 miles east of Zhuo County City, Wang Xiaoming, who was leading a group of players towards Zhuo County City, smirked when the world announcement ended. Holy shit, what Wang Xiaoming said was true. The Oath of the Three in the Peach Garden really appeared, and there really is a quest. A player was stunned for a moment before he shouted in joy. It's just that this quest is a little disgusting. It didn't say what the reward is. Xiaoming, what do you think we should choose? Wang Xiaoming glanced at the crowd and said, that's right. If you want to obtain the best reward and be safe, then choose to stop the Oath of the Three in the Peach Garden. When a player heard this, he could not help but be stunned. He asked, isn't it better to help Emperor Lu? After all, he will be one of the overlords of the Three Kingdoms. If he stops the Oath of the Three in the Peach Garden, he will definitely be hated by Emperor Lu. Moreover, even if he succeeds, Zhang San will not follow Emperor Lu. In the end, won't Yichen benefit? When Wang Xiaoming heard this, he curled his lips in disdain and said, Yichen will definitely choose to stop the Oath of the Three in the Peach Garden. Emperor Lu is the future overlord. If Yichen wants to conquer the world, how can he allow Emperor Lu to do as he pleases? When Wang Xiaoming said this, he looked at everyone and continued, this is Zhuo County. This is Yuzhou, Yichen's territory. Samsara City has a strong army, and there are 3 superclass historical generals. If we choose to help Royal Uncle Lu, we will be going against Yi Chun. That would not be a good thing for us. Once Yi Chun discovers us, we can forget about following him and taking advantage of the situation. But even if we succeed, won't Zhang San still become Yi Chen's? A player couldn't help but frown when he heard this, and then asked, I never said that if we choose to stop Emperor Lu, Zhang San will be subdued by Yi Chun. Wang Xiaoming said calmly as he looked at the player. When a player heard this, his eyes lit up and he said, Xiaoming, stop beating around the bush. Lil Ming, stop keeping us in suspense. Hurry up and tell us how we can get some benefits without letting Yi Chun take advantage of us. When Wang Xiaoming heard this, he smiled and said with certainty, It's very simple. We won't stop Emperor Lu at the beginning. When Emperor Lu officially starts the Oath of the Oath, we will take action. That way, Yi Chun can forget about accepting Zhang San. After all, this quest only says to stop the Oath of the 3 in the Peach Garden. It doesn't say that they can't become sworn brothers. It's fine as long as the Oath of the 3 fails. You should know that the ancient people valued righteousness. Since Zhang San has already acknowledged Royal Uncle Lu, it is impossible for him to betray Royal Uncle Lu. How can Yi Chun subdue Zhang San then? Then what if Yi Chun breaks the Oath of the 3 in the Peach Garden from the beginning? Don't forget that Zhang San is a legendary historical general. It's impossible that Yi Chun won't accept him, a player asked with a frown. Chapter 339. When Wang Xiaoming heard this, he frowned, but he quickly regained his composure. He sighed and said, What you said is possible, but does it have anything to do with our choice? If Yi Chun really accepted Zhang San, he would choose to stop Emperor Lu instead of helping him. If we want to reap the most benefits from this mission, the best choice is to stop Emperor Lu. Moreover, we have to stop him during the Sworn Brotherhood ceremony. In addition, I can tell you one thing. Yi Chun definitely won't stop the 3 Sworn Brothers of the Peach Garden because of Zhang San. He values the reward of this mission 100%, and he's determined to get it. He'll kill anyone who dares to stop him, just like in Luoyang. He'll go on a killing spree and show no mercy. SSS, the sound of people drawing in cold breaths was heard. Wang Xiaoming's words reminded the players of Yi Chen's tyrannical and ferocious ways. As long as we don't stand against Yi Chun, it'll be fine. That way, Yi Chun won't attack us, someone said after a moment of silence. That's right. Regardless of whether Yi Chun can accept Zhang San, Xiaoming shouldn't be wrong. Yi Chun definitely won't help Emperor Lu. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go to Zhua Commandery now. If we're late, we won't get anything. As the players chatted, they became excited again. This was because they would make the same choice as Yi Chun. They didn't have to worry about being killed by Yi Chun. There was nothing to be afraid of. Wang Xiaoming looked at the enthusiastic players and smiled. Then, he said, Everyone, I have to tell you something else. Everyone, there's one more thing I have to tell you. If my guess is correct, killing Royal Uncle Lu, Zhang San, or the person who replaced Guan Er will give you enormous benefits. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a mission. Gosh, what benefits? A player's eyes lit up when he heard this, and he hurriedly asked. When Wang Xiaoming heard this, he laughed and said, The benefits will definitely exceed your expectations. The benefits are definitely greater than you can imagine. Think about all the benefits Yi Chun has received since the start of the game. Do you still not understand? Moreover, the mission given by the world announcement was to help or stop the Oath of the Peach Garden, so we naturally chose to stop it. There are many ways to stop them. Causing trouble is stopping them. Killing Royal Uncle Lu and the others is also stopping them. Furthermore, this is the most difficult. If you succeed, the reward will definitely be unimaginably great. When the players heard this, their eyes lit up, and they were filled with eagerness. F***CK, then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Let's hurry to Zhua County. When the time comes, we'll attack together and split the rewards equally. Go. This time, we can't let Yi Chun monopolize all the benefits. Whether or not we can rise will depend on this. This time, it's all thanks to Little Ming. Otherwise, I would definitely have chosen to help Royal Uncle Lu. I've decided I'll follow Little Ming from now on. What Little Ming? This is Boss Wang. From now on, I will follow Boss Wang's lead. Me too. The players all said that they wanted to follow Wang Xiaoming, and they were all very serious. When Wang Xiaoming saw this, the corners of his mouth curled up. Then, he led the excited players towards Jue County. At this moment, Wang Xiaoming was very pleased. He had been busy coming up with ideas and strategies for the sake of this group of players. In fact, it was all intentional. His goal was very simple. He wanted to become famous. To put it more accurately, he wanted to become known as a good person or resourceful. Then, he could gain the trust of these people. This way, he would have a very high chance of using some benefits as bait to lure the people in the real world out. This way, he could obtain the fresh blood and souls that he wanted to use to cultivate the innate stage cultivation method that he had obtained at the beginning of the game, the Blood God Sutra. The Blood God Sutra was an innate stage cultivation method and was very strong. However, if he wanted to quickly become stronger, he needed an endless amount of fresh blood and countless souls. The souls and blood in the game were useless to him. This was what he was most vexed about. In his opinion, if he could use the fresh blood and souls in the game, he would definitely be the first to become a king-level general, the first to become an emperor-level general, and even the first to become a saint-level general. Jue County, at the entrance of the city lord's mansion. When Yichen arrived, he saw the black-faced and bearded Zhang San. The moment he saw him, Yichen couldn't help but be startled. Holy shit, what's going on? The black-faced and bearded Zhang San was holding a sow that he had just slaughtered. He stood outside the door with a look of anticipation. No matter how one looked at it, it didn't look like he was here to visit Yi Chun. Instead, it looked like he was here to give gifts and build relationships. Holy shit, is Zhang San really just here to visit me and not to follow me? Just as Yi Chun finished thinking, Zhang San looked over. When he saw Yi Chun, his eyes suddenly widened, and he casually threw the sow in his hand away. Bang! The sow was thrown to the ground by Zhang San. At this moment, Guan Er, who had followed Yi Chun here, suddenly moved and blocked in front of Yi Chun. This was because he felt some fighting spirit from Zhang San. As Yi Chun's loyal subordinate, how could Guan Er let someone casually put on airs in front of Yi Chun? When Zhang San saw Guan Er suddenly appear, he couldn't help but be startled. Then, he became furious. Who are you? Do you think I'm an assassin? No matter how one looked at it, Guan Er's actions were guarded against Zhang San. Naturally, Zhang San didn't like it. His temper flared as he directly shouted. When Guan Er heard this, his eyes suddenly widened, and his aura was instantly released in an extremely violent manner. After sensing Guan Er's aura, Zhang San's eyes suddenly lit up, and he shouted, "Good aura, come, let's spar." After Zhang San finished speaking, his violent aura instantly exploded, and he charged towards Guan Er. Shua! The 100 Samsara Legion soldiers guarding outside the city lord's mansion all raised their weapons and pointed them at Zhang San. An extremely violent, murderous aura instantly appeared, and then rushed towards Zhang San. Because Yi Chun was at the door, Zhang San actually dared to release his aura without restraint. How could the Samsara Legion sit by and do nothing? No matter who it was, as long as they were a threat to Yi Chun, the Samsara Legion would not hesitate to kill them. After Zhang San felt the violent, murderous aura, he was stunned for a moment, and then looked at the Samsara Legion soldiers with a strange expression. As soon as he arrived, he saw the soldiers of the Samsara Legion. Other than being amazed at the good equipment of the Samsara Legion soldiers, he also realized that the Samsara Legion soldiers were a little different. And now, after the 100 Samsara Legion soldiers released their murderous aura without holding back, Zhang San finally realized what was wrong. These Samsara Legion soldiers were all emperor-level generals, and their murderous aura was terrifyingly strong. This was a murderous aura that would only appear after killing countless people. Although Zhang San had not killed many people before, as a superclass historical general, Zhang San could easily detect the murderous aura. Of course, Zhang San was not afraid because of this. However, this did not stop Zhang San from being shocked. When Yichen saw this, he could not help but smile, and then waved his hand. When the Samsara Legion soldiers saw this, they immediately put away their weapons. However, all of them still locked onto Zhang San. If Zhang San dared to do anything to offend Yichen, they would immediately attack. At this moment, Yichen looked at Guan Er and said with a smile, "Yin Chang, stand down." When Guan Er heard this, he hurriedly said, "Master, this person is very dangerous." When Zhang San heard this, he immediately looked at Guan Er with a smile of exultation. When Guan Er saw Zhang San's expression, his red face instantly turned even redder. This was because he was angered by Zhang San. Yi Chun looked at Zhang San, and the corner of his mouth twitched involuntarily. Then he said, "It's fine. He has no murderous intent." When Guan Er heard this, he was momentarily stunned. Then he realized that Zhang San indeed had no murderous intent, only a desire to fight. When he thought of this, Guan Er glared fiercely at Zhang San, and then walked to the side. On the other side, Zhang San also looked back at Guan Er, not to be outdone. When Yichen saw this, he helplessly shook his head. Then, he walked out of the city lord's mansion and came in front of Zhang San. When Zhang San saw Yi Chun coming over, he gave up on his action of going head-to-head with Guan Er. Then, he looked at Yi Chun, bowed, and said, "Zhang San and Zhang Ida of Yuzhou greet the great general of agile cavalry." Yi Chun smiled and nodded. Then, he looked at Zhang San and asked, "Ida, why are you here?" When Zhang San heard this, he did not hesitate to cup his fists and say, "Great General, Fei is here to deliver some meat to the great general of agile cavalry." Fei has heard that the great general of agile cavalry is very strong. Fei is not convinced, so Fei has come to test it out. Impudent! Guan Er was instantly enraged and roared. Swoosh! The soldiers of the Samsara Legion once again aimed their spears at Zhang San. When Yi Chen saw this, he directly waved his hand, indicating for Guan Er and the soldiers of the Samsara Legion to be quiet. Then, he looked at Zhang San, who was glaring back at Guan Er, and said with a smile, "You're quite honest. Tell me, how do you want to compete? Using your fists or using your weapons?" When Zhang San heard this, he could not help but be stunned. He did not expect Yi Chun to be different from what he had imagined. Not only was he easy to talk to, he was also very straightforward. When he thought of this, Zhang San glanced at Yi Chun and said, "Weapons have no weapons. Swords and spears have no eyes. Let's just compare our fists and kicks." Zhang San's words were full of confidence. Obviously, he thought that Yi Chun was not as strong as him. When Yi Chun heard this, he raised his eyebrows and said, "Okay, here it is. You can make your move." Chapter 340. When Zhang San heard this, he was stunned. He did not expect Yi Chun to choose to fight on the streets. Although no one dared to come here, there were many commoners watching from afar. If Yi Chun lost, he would lose face. Thinking of this, Zhang San could not help but look at Yi Chun. Seeing that Yi Chun was not afraid or worried at all, he gave up on his previous worries and nodded. He said, "Okay." After Zhang San finished speaking, he took up his stance. "You can make your move now." Yi Chun looked at Zhang San's stance and could not help but smile. When Zhang San heard Yi Chun's casual tone, his black face was immediately filled with anger. Wasn't he taking the martial arts competition too lightly? Thinking of this, Zhang San did not hesitate to shout, "Okay, I'm coming. Take this." After Zhang San finished speaking, he stomped his feet on the ground. Pong! A sound was heard. The ground instantly cracked, and Zhang San was seen charging towards Yi Chun at an extremely fast speed. Along the way, he clenched his right fist and hammered towards Yi Chun. Just as Zhang San's fist swung out, there was a series of explosions in the air. It was obvious that Zhang San's punch was extremely powerful and fast. Otherwise, there would not be explosions in the air. When Guan Er saw this, his expression changed. He was about to intervene, but Guo Yi grabbed his arm with a smile. "Yin Chang, don't worry. Just watch quietly. When Guan Er heard this, he was stunned. At this moment, Yi Chun raised his right hand and made a grabbing motion. Pump! A loud sound was heard. Zhang San's incomparably ferocious punch was instantly casually received by Yi Chun. Guan Er, who was stunned by Gui Yi's advice, was stunned when he saw this. He did not expect his lord, Yi Chun, to be so strong. How could Guan Er not know how strong Zhang San was? Zhang San was not much weaker than him. But at this moment, Zhang San's attack was easily caught by Yi Chun. There was only one explanation for this situation. That was, Yi Chun's martial prowess was so strong that neither he nor Zhang San could compare to him. While Guan Er was still in shock, Zhang San also widened his eyes and looked at Yi Chun in disbelief. Yi Chun had taken his fist, but this was not enough to shock Zhang San. But what Zhang San didn't expect was that he couldn't pull back his fist no matter how hard he tried. No matter how hard he tried, his fist was still caught by Yi Chun and did not move an inch. At this moment, Yi Chun kicked out, instantly landing a kick on the shocked Zhang San. Bang! A loud sound was heard. Zhang San's entire body arched from Ye's kick and flew out. Looking at the shocked and confused Zhang San in the air, Yi Chun raised his eyebrows and stomped his right foot on the ground. Boom! A loud sound was heard. Yi Chun stomped a big hole in the stone floor. At this moment, Yi Chun's body left a trail of afterimages and caught up with Zhang San, who was still flying. He reached out with his right hand and grabbed Zhang San's ankle. Don't fall. Fly, I'm convinced. I'm convinced. Zhang San hurriedly shouted when he saw this. At this moment, Zhang San's emotions were in turmoil. Originally, he wanted to show off his martial prowess to Yi Chun and become a general. Because he saw Yi Chun's recruitment notice, he wanted to give it a try and see if Yi Chun was the same as the rumors said. Who would have thought that he would be defeated by Yi Chun in one move? If this continued, he would lose all his face. Moreover, according to the position where Yi Chun was grabbing, he would definitely land on his face if he fell. At this moment, Zhang San was convinced by Yi Chun from the bottom of his heart. He didn't feel embarrassed when he shouted this. But if his face was covered in bruises, that would be really embarrassing. In the distance, there were many citizens of Zhuo County looking at them. Hearing Zhang San's pleas, Yi Chun couldn't help but smirk. Then, he skillfully threw Zhang San to the ground. After Zhang San landed, he took a deep breath. After exhaling, he knelt on one knee without hesitation. After a pung sound, Zhang San cupped his fists and bowed. Yuzhou Zhang San Zhang Ida pleads for my lord to take me in. Ding! The historical superclass general, Zhang San, Zhang Ida, wishes to acknowledge you as his master. Will you accept? The system's notification sounded in Yi Chun's mind. Damn, was there a need to ask? Accept. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Chun for obtaining the loyalty of the superclass general, Zhang San, Zhang Ida. After Yi Chun heard the system's notification, he couldn't help but smile. He quickly stepped forward and helped Zhang San up. Looking at the convinced Zhang San, Yi Chun chuckled and said, with Ida's help, there's no need to worry about not succeeding. When Zhang San heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. He had been taught a lesson by Yi Chun to the point that he started to doubt his life. He thought that he was just a frog at the bottom of a well who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. He was just a little stronger than others. Yi Chun was the true expert. He had originally planned to be an honest soldier. But Yi Chun's words clearly didn't mean that he was a soldier. Thinking of this, Zhang San bowed in shame and said, my lord, Fei is willing to start as a soldier. When Yi Chun heard this, he couldn't help but be stunned. Yi Chun didn't expect Zhang San to want to start as a soldier. But immediately, Yi Chun understood why Zhang San said this. He was doubting his life. Thinking of this, Yi Chun glared at Zhang San and said, don't doubt yourself. You're a tiger general. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that. When Yi Chun said this, he forcefully activated the qi in his body. At this moment, layers and layers of golden light filled with runes appeared on Yi Chun's body. When Zhang San saw this, he was stunned. He then shouted in shock, seal, Guan Er's eyes also widened as he looked at Yi Chun with a face full of shock. They all knew what a seal meant. Now that Yi Chun had a seal, it was obvious that Yi Chun's strength had exceeded the limits of the mortal realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been sealed. Yi Chun chuckled and nodded. He then looked at Zhang San and asked, "Ida, are you still doubting your life?" When Zhang San heard this, his previously weak aura instantly returned. With a punk, he knelt on one knee and said loudly, "Fei swears to follow my lord to the death. If I violate this oath, may the heavens and earth destroy me." Ding. Zhang San's loyalty plus 10. He has advanced to loyal. When Yi Chun heard the system's notification, he couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He then said, "Very well. From today onwards, you will be the 7th general of Samsara City. But there are 2 things you must remember." When Yi Chun said this, he paused for a moment and then shouted, "Remember, you must not beat up soldiers for no reason. You must love your soldiers as if they were your children. Also, you must not drink alcohol while marching. If you dare to violate any of these, you will be beaten 100 times with a military rod for the first time. If you do it twice, you will be expelled." That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.